Hello, you're listening to Talking Spirit Anime Guest. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo!
Today's episode is our fall 2023 anime season First Impressions Part 2 of Unknown. And Chris is ready. Chris is ready for Frieren. That's all we care about. Are you ready for Frieren, Chris?
Yep.
He at least did that for me. I appreciate that. Did you do Migi and Dali?
I did tell you I was going to focus on Frieren.
Did you do Migi episode 1 at least?
No.
Oh, you didn't do that one.
I did something else you asked me to do.
What's the other one?
I don't remember.
Just Frieren.
Frieren is the one that I know that for a fact you had asked me. The other one I said that I was going to catch up on.
But yeah, we're from talkingspirit.com. That's where you can go for all of our links, social media links, ways to get a hold of us, Discord, all that good stuff. But yes, definitely appreciate everybody that supports the channel through Patreon and other ways. But yeah, let's just jump right into it because we got a lot to go through. And we didn't do enough last week, but at the same time, like I said, we didn't want to kill ourselves again because it's a lot of shows. So there's gonna be a lot to go through. Let's kick off things with Shy. Shy is done by Studio 8-Bit. It's based off of manga. Genres are action and drama. And yeah, this one follows, you guessed it, Shy, whose name's Teru. Essentially, in this world, there was war, but then at some point, peace came to the world. And there is essentially heroes in every single country, and they're just protecting people within those countries. And with Japan, we have Teru, who is, her hero name is Shy, and she basically helps people out there and protects the peace and everything like that. When we open it up, she's at an amusement park, and then there's like some roller coaster that messes up, and she goes to save all the people on the roller coaster. One lady on there, Iko Koishikawa, she's like, take care of everybody else first. I'll be fine. And then she doesn't make it back in time, and so this girl ends up getting injured while Teru's trying to save her. And that kind of really messes with her. A lot of backlash on the news and stuff. Everybody's saying heroes should be held responsible for not saving people. That whole thing. But yeah, that kind of ruins her a little bit. She ends up getting visited by one of the other heroes, Pepesha, thinking that she's, become a shut-in and that she needs some encouragement. But Teru's like, look, I can't even activate my powers. It seems to be, as we find out in like episode 3 or so, there seems to be something about their power as a hero that's sort of tied in with their heart. So if her heart's not into it, obviously, because she's feeling pretty sad that she couldn't save everybody, that's going to affect her way to activate her powers. But yeah, she ends up being taken up to this spaceship where the headquarters for all the heroes is, where she's told that even though there's peace, there's still darkness in people's hearts, and there's this group of people that are trying to tap into that darkness in people's hearts, and it's up to the heroes to not only save people, but to essentially light the hearts of people, keep them positive, give them hope and all that kind of stuff. So this kind of comes into play when one of Teru's classmates, which ends up being the girl that got injured on the roller coaster, has one of these evil individuals show up and tap into her darkness in her heart, which pretty much ties in with her survivor's remorse. I know there was a debate on last podcast about that, and I'm going to do it again. Survivor's remorse, and the idea that her parents threw her out of a burning building and end up dying in the building, and she feels that others going out of their way to help you or save you puts themselves in danger, and she doesn't like that, which is exactly what Teru/Shy did when she saved her. So that makes her become corrupted, and she starts attacking people, and didn't attack people, but she attacks Shy, and Shy has managed to stop her from turning evil and break this ring that was placed upon her that's making her transform, which catches the attention of everybody because they're combating this, but they didn't find a way of actually being able to stop the corruption without breaking the ring. Anyways, then Shy gets tested by one of the other heroes to see if she has the cojones to be a hero, and she fights back and proves herself, and so on and so forth. So that is Shy so far. First foremost, really like Shy's design. I think she's super cute. I like the timidness. I like that already they're kind of hitting heavy on the idea of her being sort of an underdog hero, trying to save people. There's a lot of mixture in there about the concepts of triaging, basically. Is triage the best word? When you're having to choose who you save in a situation, yes. Having to make those hard decisions to save people. Even when she gets her courage back to go in there and save somebody, and that's basically because this boy that she saved previously kind of just goes to rush into the burning building, even though he doesn't have powers. And she's like, I'm trying to activate my powers. It's not working. But he's willing to do it. So I guess he's right that anybody can be a hero. You don't have to be a superhero in order to save people. Not all heroes wear capes, right?
Right.
But yeah, she rushes in there, and she ends up running into a situation where she has this mother who's unconscious, and she's embracing her baby in the middle of this fire, and Teru's, as shy, is trying to save both of them, and at some point this explosion happens, and the baby goes flying, and she has to choose: do I stay here with the mother and get her out of here, or do I leave her behind and jump out the building and save this child that's flying out of the building? So it's like, again, even still, when she makes the decision that she can't save everybody, she still has to make those decisions. And so it's just kind of an acceptance point for her. Pepesha puts it really well because she understands that that's what Shy is going through, is this idea that she didn't save everybody. Pepesha kind of puts it in a funny term because Pepesha likes to drink. Her codename's Spirits, so that makes sense. Pepesha, thinking that's what's bothering Shy, puts it best in the idea that I like people being drunk. So I would love to go around the world and get everybody drunk. Let's all get drunk. She'd like to go to every country and get everybody drunk. But the problem is that when I'm on this side of the world, over here, people aren't drunk. So it's the idea that, yes, you can go around and save everybody, but there's going to be somebody back here that you can't save. It's a funny analogy. I thought it was funny. But yeah, it is basically Shy gaining her courage, fighting in her own way. There's a lot of emphasis on the idea that the other heroes find their own justice, but at the same time, Shy is kind of this anomaly in the idea that she's pretty much got too much heart. Wears her heart on her sleeve. She's very wanting to help other people, whereas that's not always the best route when you're trying to save a lot of people. So she's proven them all wrong. But yeah, that's basically the show in a nutshell so far. I have been enjoying it, but there is a side of me that I feel like it's lacking. I guess that's the thing. It's like I like the opening. I like Shy. I like basically a My Hero Academia, but with cute girl instead of Deku. I like this idea of modern day superhero, kind of grounded in the idea that there's not heroes everywhere, but there is an existence of a hero. It is sort of a Superman kind of concept where things go down, and thankfully the hero of this area shows up to save the day. They can't always show up, but when they do, they save the day. The problem that I'm having so far is I'm getting a little bit too much of a twinge of Sailor Moon / a lot of the old magical girl shows. And the idea that the concept so far seems very bland. The bad guy is this evil villain that goes around and taps into the darkness of people's hearts, and then they become corrupted, and then Shy has to beat them up or save them in some way. Which, again, pretty sure that was the basic episode by episode setup of the original Sailor Moon. This idea of you'd have like a cosmetic lady and she's got her own little cosmetic store, but then the person comes in and corrupts her heart, so she becomes a cosmetic monster and goes around and attacks people, and then Sailor Moon has come in and wound prison power, and it negafies them and takes out the darkness out of their heart, right?
Pretty sure that's most.
It's always like them tapping into the darkness, wasn't it?
Most of the
greed or whatever.
Old magical girls and a lot of the Sentais do the same.
Yeah,
similar.
So it's always like a person that gets kind of corrupted in some way.
Yeah,
tapping into some negative aspect that they have. Which again was what would happen with Koishikawa, is that she was again had this remorse, and she didn't like the idea of people going out of their way to save other people and putting themselves in danger, and she doesn't like that. Now Shy's doing it. She's putting herself in danger to save me, when she should just let me be. Let me die. That's fine. It is that idea, which it's only, let me be perfectly clear, it's only done it once so far. I'm not saying that's going to be the formula, because right after Koishikawa, it gets into, again, Shy, if she can be a hero. Is she strong enough? But that's the fear, is that that's the concept that they've got into with the bad guys, is that they tap into people's darkness. And if that becomes, I don't think it's going to become an episodic setup. It could. I'm assuming that that's something that's probably not the case with this show, because I would assume the manga wouldn't have done too well if they went the Sailor Moon route and just became an episodic type thing like that. But my whole point is, that aside, let's not assume it's going to become episodic. I need something else from the quote unquote villain setup here. The bad guys, I need something else besides they tap into people's darkness. Hopefully they do that. Hopefully there's a better story underneath there, but for now it feels very shrug. Even though, like I said, I do like Shy. I think she's cute. I like the underdog superhero concept. She's very timid and she's trying to get out there. She's trying to get that courage. She's easy to root for, really. And I hope that it kind of turns something good. I like the dynamic that Shy has with Koi Shikawa, as technically Koi Shikawa knows her secret. So hopefully that'll kind of turn something cool as well, but we'll see. For now, it's okay. It's okay. I was hoping for more, though, to be honest. And technically, visually, it's got a good style to it. And the first episode was really decent, but it's kind of bogged down quite a bit. It's gotten very basic in the animation department. And yes, I have to take my jabs in here. Mr. Director of Scum's Wish here, throwing panels up on the screen I hate. Mm-hmm. He's not that bad. It's not that bad. The first episode, I got really scared. I'm like, oh crap, here he goes with his little quote unquote your own unique style that's always the same. But he's not been too bad. It hasn't been too bad. So we'll see. But yeah, that's Shy. That's Shy Des. Let's move on to Migi and Dali. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Chris to watch it. Like I said, it's fine. It's like I'm not selling Chris on Migi and Dali right now, but I'm like, maybe eventually probably check out an episode just because I'm curious what Chris thinks of it, just because it's the Sakamoto.
I did another show for you because you really wanted to know what I thought about it.
And you don't know what that show is.
I do actually know that show.
What?
The Kami Arabi. You really want it. Now I'm stuck on that stupid show.
Are you liking it?
No, I can't make up my mind if I like it or not.
I can't either. We'll talk about it. I haven't watched the recent episode, though. That's the unfortunate thing. But now, Migi and Dali. This one is being done by Geek Toys and Comptown, based on a manga by, of course, Nami Sano, who is known for doing Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto, which unfortunately rests in peace. They recently passed away, which really sucks because I like their shtick. I like their shtick. But yeah, Migi and Dali opens up with this orphanage, and there's these two twins there, Migi and Dali. But at this orphanage, this couple comes and visit. They're like in their 50s or 60s or something like that. They're coming to the orphanage because they've never been able to have a kid their own, so they wanted to adopt one. But their whole stipulation is that they can only handle one kid. They're like, we can only do one kid. We got to stick to one kid. But as they're going to leave the orphanage, Migi and Dali essentially put on the coolest act possible. They chose purposely not to interact with them. They wanted to leave the biggest last impression. So as they're leaving, this gust of wind picks up the lady's hat, and he's up there in the windowsill of the second floor and catches it in the air and looks all beautiful. And then they go to get in the car, and then it, quote unquote, starts to rain. And as they turn on the wipers, they can see him out in the front of the car holding an umbrella over what looks like a dog, a little puppy on the ground. They just wanted to leave this crazy first impression because Migi and Dali, they want to be adopted by these two because they heard that these two live in a specific town. This specific town is one that Migi and Dali had grew up in before their mother was murdered. So they want to get adopted so they can go back to that town and investigate what happened to their mother, who killed their mother. And so they put on this big act in order to get adopted. But like I said earlier, they only adopt one child. So that's when we come into play the fact that these are twins. So they pretty much have one of them essentially be in existence all the time in front of the two of them. And every now and then, the other one who's in the shadows will trade places with them. So it always appears as if they're one person, but the other brother is essentially always hiding, and they'll trade places, and they assist each other the entire time. That's what kind of creates a dynamic here. So you'll have them at the dinner table, and Dali is sitting there eating, and then suddenly they're full, and the other one's under the table hungry. So they'll do like a quick swap without the parents knowing that they did it. All the while trying to make sure that they secure their place in this home, while at the same time trying to investigate again the murder of their mother. So that's sort of the setup so far, and it just kind of goes from there to them needing to meet friends because they need to check other people's houses, try to figure out which home that they grew up in. So they go and become Boy Scouts, and doing different things in order to, again, make sure that their parents are happy with them. So that's been Migi and Dali so far, which is super cool. Again, like I said earlier, the reason why I'm loving this show so far is the fact that this just oozes. Haven't you heard I'm Sakamoto? For those that have never watched that show, it's basically about this high schooler who everything he does is super cool. He is the most super cool dude ever. So if somebody tries to, bully him, they'll pull the chair out from underneath him. He'll just like sit there in the air and he looks so cool doing it. And everybody's just like shocked by how cool he is. Everything that he does is amazing. This has that same feel in the idea that a lot of the humor in this series so far is the absurdity of how they'll do something super cool but at the same time weird and dumb. Like I mentioned earlier, the idea of one of them being under the table and the other one sitting at the table and eating is what they do is they basically grab each other's hands and, plant each other's feet together. And then they just got this weird little loop-de-loop on the chair. Like any other situation like that with somebody, they'd probably go, oh, I dropped my spoon, and they'll kind of lean over off the table and they'll just kind of dive under there while the other one gets back up. No, these ones, they want to do this weird caterpillar cartwheel thing. It's so weird. And like with the whole case with the father, he wants to, put this birdhouse up and they want to bond with him. So they claim they want to put a birdhouse up, but the old man can't lift them. So they have one of them cover the eyes of the father as the other one literally used their weight to lift them up on the guy's shoulders. It's just weird. It's super weird. Adding to that the fact that the director, my gosh, is doing an amazing job. They did Cinderella Girls, which makes sense because Cinderella Girls was amazing as well. But this director, in the studio itself, everybody working on it is doing an incredible job of creating this weirdness, this really creepy weirdness to the characters and the music and everything. There's this chorus that always plays whenever they do something crazy that just sounds ominous. The visuals aren't like the craziest thing ever, but they're nailing the style. They're nailing the aesthetic, and they're nailing these creepy moments these characters do. And that's honestly all I really care about. Like, I'm not really too like super interested in what happens with the mother. I'm hoping that whole story is something interesting. But what I'm getting a kick out of is just every weird thing the two of them do that it just seems so absurd, but at the same time is so funny at the same time. Like, it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's just kind of I just chuckle at it. I can't help but go like, this is so weird. That is so, and the two of them are so weird too, because like every now and then they'll meet in their bedroom in this little like tent thing they got, and then just two of them are like right face to face with each other as they're talking about what they need to do, what's their plan, or how well they're doing with each situation. It's just too funny. Plus the mom's weird. She's got like the mom's got like this weird short temper. When they first sat down at the dinner table, she's talking about how, oh, you need some more clothes, don't you? And he's like, no, I'd rather just keep these clothes. Can I just get another pair of these clothes? And it's a turtleneck. And she's like, no, you should get other clothes. He's like, no, I like this turtleneck. And she's like, no, you're not Steve Jobs. She literally says that like in English. No, not Steve Jobs. It's just so weird. Later on, while they're cooking this apple pie, she gets like so mad and starts cussing. It's just, she's just got like this really short fuse for some reason. The dad's kind of creepy too. He got like this desire for his son to always massage his back, and he really likes it. It's bonkers. It's so weird. They have this kid that's I think he was a Cub Scout. One of this little snotty kid gets them invited over to his house, and he starts to do like horrible punishment games with the game that they're playing. He puts a bunch of stipulations on it so that he keeps winning. And the other brother is watching from a distance, and he knows, I don't remember which one is which, but say Dali's watching Migi, and Migi keeps losing, and Dali's afraid that Migi's going to flip out. Like, no, you got to keep cool. And eventually, Dali gets sucked under, like, he crawls under the bed, and the guy's out there like, what are you doing? And Migi comes sneaking in so he can come back out of the bed, so they switch places there. And he goes, let's play again. And he starts slamming the kid over the head with the fan. It's just like, it's so good. It's just so weird. It is so funny at the same time. It's great. It's great. I was mentioning when I was talking to some people, I feel like this is one of those shows where if you get it, you get it. I think when I first did my first impression of the show, I went and, kind of browsed around on like Mal and stuff like that. And I kept seeing a bunch of people going, what is the point of this show? And I'm like, it's one of those cases where you're like, just don't. Like if you watch the first few episodes and you're not getting it, don't worry about it. It's just, if you didn't see it, you missed it. But this is what it is. And I think that's what they're going for. And like I said, it was the same feel with Sakamoto.
I was going to say that we didn't think that Sakamoto would work at all. And it became one of the funniest shows that we'd ever watched.
Yeah, this one kind of turns into a Sakamoto that's super weird and creepy and bizarre, with apparently a mystery that I'm certain eventually will come up. So super good. Yeah, it was like later on while he was keeping that kids busy, his sister was in the other room and he was trying to check the wallpaper because their wallpaper had this certain design and they thought that might be this house. And so he goes to check the sister's room, and he just like at some point ends up in the arms of the sister as she's asleep, and she's just hugging him into her chest. And so cut forward to them being back at the house. One of the brothers mad because he had to deal with the boy, and the other one's super happy because he got his head slammed into something soft. It was goofy. It was, like I said, I love it. I cannot wait for more. It's so good. Again, I feel this is one of those cases where I watched Sakamoto, I loved it. I'm watching this and I'm loving it, and I'm like, God, it just reminds me that the loss of Nami Sano is sucks. It sucks real bad. This person was a genius, and apparently they were working on a new project before they passed away. Like they weren't letting their was it cancer? What was it that she died to? I forget.
I don't remember.
Whatever she was suffering with, she didn't even let it bother her. She's like, I'm gonna do this next project. Like she kept going. So, oof. Migi and Dali though, it's good stuff. Definitely check it out if you like creepy, if you like super creepy stuff. Okay, it's time. We've delayed it enough. We gotta wait before we talk about Frieren because we want to make sure that a couple people at least hang around until the podcast so we can get the listen time. Anyways, yeah, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, or So no Frieren. This one's on Crunchyroll. Apparently running for 2 cours. Had a 2-hour premiere. Did you like that 2-hour premiere? The 4-episode start. That was crazy.
It was in separate episodes for me, so.
It was, yeah. I think everywhere except for that Fuji TV or wherever it's supposed to be a part of had it separate. But anyways, yeah, this one's got, like, the director did Bochin the Rock. We have serious competition by the one that did One Punch Man and Naka 13. We have Evan Calls doing the music for it, which is amazing. They did Violet Evergarden stuff. But yeah, this one opens up. We open up with the heroes party returning back to home, as they're on their way. One of the lead Himmel is pretty much like, yeah, okay, we're going to kind of continue on with our lives. Frieren, who's an elf mage, is kind of over there going, yeah, whatever, that's fine. They get back home. They have their big celebrations. And just before they go to, part ways, they see this meteor shower that happens. And they're all liking it. And Frieren speaks up and says, look, hey, let's get back together. I have a great place that you guys can watch the meteor shower, and it's about 50 years. It happens every 50 years. So, 50 years we'll get back together, right? And then everybody else is like, yeah, sure, Frieren. Like in 50 years we're going to be old or dead. But yeah, she ends up returning after 50 years. They all go together, as old as all the other individuals are, out to this location. They watch the meteor shower and everything. And then cut forward, and what sort of comes from this is Frieren, through conversing with each of the individual members, which, soft spoilers for the first episode here, Himmel, who is one of the heroes, ends up passing away. Through Himmel passing, it sort of makes Frieren realize this regret that she ends up having. As they're at his funeral, she starts to cry to herself in the idea of she wishes that she got to know Himmel more. She wishes that she appreciated the moments that she had with Himmel. And what sort of transpires after this is Frieren is essentially going on this journey through what the heroes party went. So she's going to retrace the steps of the heroes party to see everywhere that they went together and the impression that their party left upon the world itself. Revisiting all the memories that she once had that she ignored before when she was with Himmel and Hater and Eisen, the hero party. Over time, she ends up getting Fern, who is like this apprentice of Hater, kind of pushed upon her. Later on, she ends up meeting Stark, who is the apprentice of Eisen, the dwarf warrior. And so she's journeying with them, going up to the north to essentially this heaven, this paradise place where people go to in the north that happens to be near where they defeated the Demon Lord. where essentially people can possibly speak to people of the past. And so she's hoping that she can go there in order to talk to Himmel. So, yeah, your thoughts so far on, shoot, are we at 8 right now, right? We're 8
Pretty
episodes in at
much.
this point. Again, it started with 4 episodes, and then, yeah, banger of an opening.
Long story short, I love it. This show hits on so many different levels. I love that Andrew has these kind of notes over here of all these things that he's gathering from each one of these episodes, and in a lot of cases I absolutely agree. He has things lost, regret, companionship, afterlife, sense of time. All these things are just encapsulated into each one of these episodes. Frieren, as she after Himmel's passing, her sense of loss, and at the same time her trying to find her place after the events of what happened. She has this almost listlessness of her not really knowing what it is she wants to do. And so she kind of finds she has this silly excuse to keep traveling, as hunting for these tomes from her master at some point. And she chops it up to no reason. It just gives me something to do.
She likes magic.
She likes magic. It's her hobby.
Why do you like magic, Frieren?
Because Himmel apparently
Himmel liked it.
Because Himmel apparently liked the fact that she had so many weird spells or something like that, and so she just picked it up as a hobby, and that's what she does. Is why are you doing it? Because it's my hobby, and she says it in such a matter-of-fact way. It's just it's perfect for her. I absolutely love Frieren. She is absolutely a brilliantly written character. She comes off as this character who lacks empathy, and at the same time she has this it's almost like the emotions are there, but it's cut off to such an extent that she has a hard time with actually accepting that anything is actually moving her in any way, shape, or form. So I really love it. I think it's brilliant. And then getting into Fern. Fern was absolutely brilliantly written. I absolutely love her frustration with wanting to prove that she can get to a certain point for Heiter and eventually be trained by Frieren. Stark and Aeson's kind of interplay and what's going on with those two characters, and what is courage is absolutely brilliantly written with Stark. I love it. It's just through and through a great show. And oh yeah, by the way, looks beautiful.
It's so freaking gorgeous, dude. Like they dumped some money on this thing. I was joking with somebody the other day, like it's one of those things where you're like, can they keep this up?
Right? I was thinking that the whole time, first few episodes.
I think they said 26 episodes for it, I think. Or maybe they said it was going to go 2 quarters. It could possibly go 26, I guess. But it's one of those ones where it's like, it's a fear that can they keep this up? But it's like, if you think about it, in Japan, the channel that's broadcasting on is literally a theatric film type channel. The channel owns Madhouse, the studio. And this is the first time they're having an anime on this block. Normally it's for live action films and stuff like that in Japan. So this was like new. Like, we're putting an anime in here. And so it makes sense that they're making it super gorgeous. And it's like, and it makes sense that they need to keep the quality up, because otherwise it looks bad on them. Like, if suddenly, people tune in on the channel that night and it looks terrible, that looks bad on the channel. It technically does in general, but it's one of those things where it's like it almost can't fail. And it seemed like that's the case because it's so freaking gorgeous. But yeah, it's like everything culminates again, and this is credit to the director. And again, we've seen this with Bocchi the Rock. With Bocchi the Rock, it felt like the director was being creative. He was going outside the scope of the manga, but it showed that he was willing to go above and beyond to portray it in a beautiful way. Like, I wanted to do something weird with Bocchi and her expression, and they do this in some weird diagram or something like that, or weird art style or something like that. And it sort of shows here in the idea that every scene is above and beyond. And then you couple that in with the musician who's just doing an incredible job. The violin and all that kind of stuff just freaking hits. Like, every emotional scene, the music just, it just gut punches you every single time. Visual spectacle, the directing, perspective shots, everything is just hitting on point, and I cannot express that enough. But yeah, visuals and music and sound and everything aside, the show itself is so good. And it's one of those cases where I hype myself up a lot for the show coming into it. So there was like a side of me like, oh, please don't be bad. Of course, I checked out the first couple chapters, which was pretty much equivalent to maybe 2 episodes. So I had at least an idea of at least up to the point where Himmel's passes, and it broke me just reading the manga. And so I had an idea of what it was going for. And when I got into the show, even with that expectations really high, it kind of met it. And it's so nice when you have that high expectation, because you kind of feel like, crap, it's probably going to disappoint me, isn't it? What I love so much about the show is Frieren. I think she is an absolutely beautiful portrayal of someone who lives for so long, they don't understand quite what normal lifespans understand as being a significant time frame. She always jokes about the fact that, or it was one of the jokes early on, is this idea of
1/100th.
It's a mere 10 years. We traveled as a hero party for a mere 10 years. Well, as everybody else in the heroes party is like, yeah, 10 years was a long time. And that was significant for us. We had so many experiences in that 10 years. She's like, it was just a mere 10 years. It's literally a blip for her.
1/100th.
And so not having that understanding of how important those moments are, she didn't pay attention. That's the key thing. She just didn't pay attention. Now, you can sort of see it as her being emotionless, but that's not really the case. It's just that she didn't connect. She had no reason to connect. She didn't feel it that important. Her importance was finding the next magic spell and stuff like that. And yes, that's partly to do with the fact that she doesn't realize until later it was sort of why she was always looking for spells. But Himmel enjoyed it, and that made it something that she enjoyed doing even more. I don't know if you caught that. Later on, she ends up finding a grimoire, and they point out the fact that it implies it. They sort of imply this idea that Himmel chose to purposely go on the whims of Frieren to find those spell books. They could have finished the journey as the heroes quicker. Now, I can kind of argue that it was partly for them to build up.
Wasn't there an argument between Eisen and him because of the fact that they were going after
Because it was Stark's the one that mentioned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of imply this idea that Himmel was purposely going on her whims to find all these spells. You can probably argue that it's also so that they have plenty of time to get stronger, because they're going to have to get stronger. They're going to have to get better as a team. But it sort of implied this idea that the reason why it took so long was because they were wanting to create memories for Frieren. The statues they have everywhere. It kind of makes it like Himmel is this, narcissistic dude that wants to have this perfect pose. No, he wants the perfect statue so that she remembers that they're not a fairy tale.
She's not alone.
She never believes that she's a fairy tale. They kind of played off this idea that this legendary mage is possibly seen as a fairy tale because there's a lot of books out there, but none of them seem to be real. Well, it's because there's this idea that slowly over time, people are starting to think that she's a fairy tale. And Himmel didn't want that. I want you to always know that we were actually there. She's such a fantastic character to see how she's connecting those dots over time. And it is impacting her. It is making her realize things. And every time they hit those emotional notes, every time they do those reveals, again, everything starts to hit with the actual animation and the music and the voicing and everything like that. It's been super great. I agree. Fern's great. Fern is literally like her mom.
Yeah.
Has to drag her out of bed, clean her up, take her out to move debris off the ocean side. Always trying to, has to get that positive reinforcement whenever she does actually do it. Time. She's like, we have to praise her. We do? Yes, we do. Come over here, sit down. We have to praise her. It's just the chemistry between Fern and Frieren is so freaking fantastic. over time, seeing how Frieren starts to try to get things done quicker, because again, her hanging around somewhere for 2 years doesn't matter much to her. Whereas Fern's over here like, please no, we have not. Please don't waste your time. It's so great seeing how like with Eisen mentioned at some point, he's like, you've changed a lot, because Fern is behind them and she's like, I guess we have to finish this quickly. Fern is actually keeping her in check. Their chemistry is super good. I like Fern, her disgusted looks. We have to have a disgusted look Fern every single episode, it feels like.
Yeah.
Which is going well with Stark. She gives Stark lots of disgusted looks. Stark's kind of becoming the next Fern, the idea that he's having to discover how weird Frieren is, as Fern is used to it now. And yeah, everything they're doing right now with the Northern Territories and the guillotine, all that kind of stuff. I can't wait. I'm so freaking pumped for the next episode to see Kishirika. I can't wait to meet the Kishirika of Frieren. I don't think she's going to be a Kishirika, but she looks like Kishirika a little bit. The purple. It's just the purple. It's just the little purple. That's all. That's the only thing that's the similarity there. But oh gosh, I can keep going. This show's so great. I love the magic in the world's actually interesting as well. I wasn't expecting them to get as detailed. It's not going super deep so far, and they could. But they're actually putting some levels to the magic itself, and the idea that over time it has evolved. Mankind had. They talk about this one demon that created this piercing spell because he studied it for so long, and mankind basically studied it and figured out how to counter it. And the way to counter it is to deflect it because it pierces, and getting into the idea that then they basically mastered that spell, so everybody can use it now, and that completely throws off this demon as he's kind of released. And that kind of extends as the recent episodes, they're getting into the idea that demons themselves spend years trying to master a single spell. And that's kind of gives an explanation as to why each one of these demons has different abilities that they're unique to them. And my gosh, the communication of demons was so good.
Yeah, I actually did like that.
Oh my gosh.
What is a word? What is words to demons? And
well, yeah, because they go to this one town and there's a bunch of demons in there. And they're like, Frieren immediately goes into combat mode. And they're like, no, but they're here for peace talks. And she's like, the hell are you talking about? They're just using you. They use words to manipulate. And it goes in this whole backstory about how Hamel and all them had a run-in with this one demon that kept yelling mom, and everybody wanted to protect the demon and didn't want to kill it. And oh my gosh, that conclusion of that backstory thing was
absolutely bizarre.
Did you catch it? Like right after that episode, they had that whole story, and it was like this whole thing where like, yeah, this demon was tricking the town, and they end up taking it out. And just before it goes to die, it yells out mom again, and Frieren's like, oh, you're going back to that again. It's like, well, yeah, because mom's such a powerful word. You guys hear mom, and if for some reason you give up, and we just don't want to get killed. I laughed so hard the next episode when they literally had another demon that literally said, wait, let's talk about it. Yeah. I was like, dude, again, that's that consistency of the writer. The writer is so consistent with this stuff. The fact that he said that, I was like, I love that. It is such a minor detail, but it makes perfect sense. He came there to kill her. He fails, and just when he's about to die, he says, let's talk about it. It's like, it's so consistent that these demons just believe, just talk. That was like that one of the other ones was he didn't say mom. He said father. Well, what's a dad? I don't know. Yeah. It's so great. He's like, my father did you guys killed my father, and so I want to get revenge, but let's break that cycle. And he's like, okay, well, we'll talk later. And they leave, and then he goes to walk out with the other demon, and she's like, what's a father? I don't know. They heard father, and he just caved. It's so crazy how I like that the writer is obvious about it, because they could have totally gone this direction where you don't know if they are actually being truthful or not. It does something different in the idea that you're seeing them actively deceiving in a clever way. I
was actually thinking that they were going to go in that direction.
Yeah,
the way they played it off,
basically.
Yeah, and the way
they were immediately assumes they're bad when they're not actually bad,
and it felt like that was the direction that they were going. And as the episode kept going forward, I'm like, wow, he's making a fantastic case for her side. I mean, brilliant case for her side. And then as the peace talk guys went out in the hallway and they said the father thing, I'm like,
Well, it happened before then. He was,
okay.
yeah, just before they had that meeting, they technically had the Luger, the main guy, was like, that girl, that mage we ran into, she knows exactly how we are. Like she has us down to a T. But that doesn't matter. Like he literally just admits it, and then they have that meeting, and yeah, it's just like I said, the father thing. I was like, wait, but back here he said that they are deceiving them. Well, maybe there is a side of this that is, yes, we're deceiving you, but we still want peace talks.
Yeah.
But then the moment he walks down that hall, what's a father? I don't know.
Yeah. Like, and it was like, so okay, yeah, throw that in my face. That was brilliantly written. No. Two bones
again,
about
that
it.
Whole the backstory thing, I think, sells it for me because it was so creepy. We're just gonna keep talking about this, but it's fine. What I loved so much about that backstory moment was, okay, she's standing in front of that flame, got the daughter in their hands, turns around, and they're like, "We knew it. We couldn't be trusted. You killed the mayor." And he turns around and he says, "Well, I don't want you to kill me. I want to exist here." But I kept seeing this lady who that demon killed her daughter. You kept looking at me, and you looking at me that you want to kill me. Well, I figured since I killed your daughter, I'll give you this daughter, and then everything's okay, right? And then Himmel's like, but no, that's the mayor's daughter. Ah, crap! I messed up again, didn't I? I guess I'll have to take the kid hostage.
No, she said she's dead. He's dead now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
he's dead now.
And he's like, crap, I messed up again, didn't I? Well, okay, I guess I'll have to take this kid hostage. And then Himmel just like slices off his arm and takes the kid. And then again, Frieren's like, you're not gonna stop me again, are you? And Himmel's like, no. Knocks him down. Mom, why are you saying mom again? It was so creepy and so disconnected. It was like it's literally like having a vicious predator monster, like an animal, like a bear, like a super vicious aggressive bear, but he's talking the whole time to you as he's coming after you, like, come back here, and he's charging you, and you're like, no, bear, you're gonna kill me. But no, I want to talk. You see how, like, it's just a monster, like it's just an animal, but at the same time it's speaking like a human tongue, and it connected that so well.
Well, I was looking at it more along the lines of I think
Feral,
it's
I guess that's the way to put it.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of, I think, the sociopath kind of idea. There's a disconnect between the wild whims and the trying to pretend that they understand and empathize when they don't actually empathize. They don't get it when you're sitting there saying, no, this is not good. Yeah. They just plain don't understand. What do you mean?
And I think that was the struggle there, and really understanding them for a second, and the idea that it's like, but is it trying to be peaceful and live in that town? Was this creature just trying to fix the situation? But how it keeps progressing to, okay, well, I guess I'll do this. Okay, well, I'll go do this. It still shows that threat there and that lack for any understanding of what they did. It is a sheer lack of understanding what they do is wrong to the society they're trying to step inside of. And they kind of put it in the idea that they just want to not be killed by the humans, and they figured this was a way to do it. Well, we just learned your tongue in order so you don't kill us. And it's that disconnect that kind of happens there that makes it kind of, it's terrifying in a way. It's kind of terrifying in a way. Like, you kind of want to empathize with them, but at the same time, it's like, but you're not getting it. And it can't coexist. That's Frieren's mindset. It can't coexist. We can't coexist. It's impossible. The only reason the words are coming out of their mouth is to deceive. Plain and simple. And like I said, I do appreciate that there's not like it could go in that area of the gray area of, is it Frieren saying that because she just has a prejudice against them? Again, it could have gone down that route. But the writer was like, no, I'm going to do this thing. We're going to be fully understanding of what these characters are. I'm not going to sit here and pull a blanket over your eyes and go, you don't know yet, do you? You don't know yet. No, the writer's like, this is them. And let's do something cool with it. And it like I said, it nails it. I almost wonder how... Is this one of those cases where I'm like... Again, I read the manga up to that point where Himmel passes. And it is one of those ones where I kind of want to go back and check the manga and to see if is this one of those cases where this adaptation is just taking it to another level. Like, I wonder if I would get enough that kind of feel from that backstory of that demon by reading it, or if that just they nailed that scene. And I think it is probably both. But anyways, anything else? Anything else? The dragon fight was great. Holy crap, that animation. The when he's on the side of the face and it's looking around, it's like flinging its head around. You can kind of see the horizon behind him. Oh, it was so good. The velocity, like him holding on there, it was just so freaking good.
I absolutely loved that they pulled that off showing that the flag had been the torch had been passed to the next generation. I absolutely love how they pulled that off, because I literally
you want to save him, go do it.
Yeah.
Fern's like, drag him away.
it was one of those that I was fully expecting that the other characters would be involved in that. I don't want to reveal too much on that. For anybody who hasn't actually watched it, go watch it. The going into kind of the past, like that, like I said, the story between Stark and Eisen was absolutely brilliant. I absolutely loved how that all.
He was afraid of him.
Yeah, because he was afraid of him and all that stuff. I really love that the way that there was that dialogue between Frieren and Eisen, and they were talking about, is he a good warrior and all that stuff, and then this all culminated together on that one moment in that
Being
with the dragon
is okay,
and then you see the torch being passed, and it wasn't not an actual physical torch being passed, but there's this moment.
I thought it was an actual torch.
There was an actual torch.
It's probably one of Frieren spells.
There was this moment that you go, okay, the student had surpassed the teacher, and it was just brilliantly done. I loved it.
I do appreciate the fact that the humor so far has been really good. It's not like crazy slapstick kind of humor. It's just a very subtle humor that kind of pops up. And yeah, a lot of it's to do with how quirky Frieren is. Like, she's just a goofball. And I love that because it kind of, not expecting it to constantly be showing you her progression into understanding what she's lost and her regrets and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, having those quirks of her that does kind of play into the silliness that Frieren is. Like, again, waking up and, Frieren having to drag her down the street to go do their job. Or there was another one with, the see-through spell.
The see-through. I kept wanting to bring out the see-through spell.
Sorry, nothing important, nothing good enough underneath here that's excites you. And then looks at the Stark, too small.
Too small.
Super good.
Chisai.
There's a lot of like little goofy little, like I said, especially Fern and Stark. They're just constantly Stark. I feel bad for Stark, but at the same time, I love Fern being like that to Stark. It's like I feel bad for Stark because he's a good boy. And he's not like abrasive or anything like that, so he doesn't really deserve it. But at the same time, I get a kick out of Fern being like that. So yeah, I could go on and on with this show. I've literally done an episode by episode impressions of it, and I love every single week covering this show because there's just so much to dive into. It's like every time I go another week, it's like there's not going to be nothing in this episode, and sure enough, there's something crazy. Like this recent episode, it's like probably going to be an action episode, probably a bunch of fighting. And then, you have, like, the baton pass, and I'm like, holy crap, that was so good. I love that. I love that part. And then, getting technically into everything around the demons and stuff has been super good. So, I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's easily my number one of the season so far. Apothecary Diaries tried to get up there, but it hasn't. It's not.
I don't know. I think it's a little too early for me to decide on.
It's only an episode. It's too early to decide. You mean for all the rest of the shows?
Of all the
it's kind of leaving the rest of them in the dust. So it is kind of unfair.
It is really a fantastic show. I will not deny that.
At least we don't have to worry about it being in the Anime Wars this year. We'll put off Frieren until next year because it's gonna go to course. It would have been easy though. But yeah, that's Frieren. If you're not watching it yet, shame on you. Shame on you. Let's move on to something else. We should give some other shows some attention, right? Or you just want to keep talking about Frieren for the rest of the podcast? I think that'll probably upset some people. The two people that don't like Frieren because it's too popular. It's overrated. Because Frieren's overrated.
I'm sure there's somebody who's going for that.
No, what was annoying was like when it first came out.
Let me tell you how bad of a show Frieren is.
Here's my theory. Here's my theory. There was a lot of controversy around Frieren when it first aired. And I think I blame certain content creators, which I don't know exactly who started it. What my theory happened is that Mushoku Tensei aired. And a lot of content creators were basically getting a lot of views off of Mushoku Tensei. It was popular. A lot of the fans loved talking about it, so they loved checking out videos for it. The moment that Mushoku Tensei ended, Frieren started. So what they did is they tried to equate the two. That Frieren is the Mushoku Tensei of the season, and so there was certain people trying to make it out as if Frieren's story is similar to Mushoku Tensei in some way. And I think what that did is caused people that were massive fans of Mushoku to go check out Frieren, and it's not the same thing. Frieren is not Mushoku Tensei. It's a fantasy that's about the only connection you can make. There is regret, but it's different types of regrets. There is nothing other than that symbolizes the similarity between the two of them, and so it caused people to have expectations for a Mushoku type story in Frieren, and then people started hating Frieren because it wasn't Mushoku Tensei. And it was one of those things where I'm like, why are we doing... And I fought with myself for like the first at least 2 weeks of Frieren coming out, not making a video games. People, shut up and stop trying to connect this to Mushoku Tensei. Just let it go. Watch it or don't. I'm sick of seeing comments about this or Mushoku Tensei. It was bizarre. I don't know if I doubt you've seen any of that. Chris is lucky enough not to get in those circles. Every now and then I fall into it, and I don't want to. Plus, it drags in the Discord every now and then. I'm like, don't do that here. Get it out of here. I don't want that discussion in here. Get it out. Did you watch I'm in Love with the Villainess?
The first episode or two.
First or two episodes. I don't even know. I don't remember how far I went into it. I think where I left off, I think I only watched 2 episodes of it.
I think I only watched 2 episodes.
Yeah. I'm in Love with the Villainess, or Watashi no Oshi wa Okuyaku Reisho. This one is based on a light novel. Genres are comedy, fantasy, and romance. Essentially opens up with a Ray Taylor. Well, it opens up with this office worker who ends up dying or being transported into the body of Ray Taylor, which Ray Taylor is the main protagonist character of this game called Revolution. And she immediately knows who she is because right next to her is Claire Francois. Francois? It's Francois, isn't it? It's French. Isn't it Francois?
I don't know. It's just Claire Sama.
It's Claire. It's Claire. That's all she says is Claire Sama. Yes, exactly. Her last name is Sama. But yeah, she immediately knows who she is because of the fact that Claire's right next to her, or where she's as it is anyways.
I take it back. I watched 4 episodes.
Really? But yeah, she immediately is like, wow, Claire's right next to me because she absolutely loves Claire, which Claire is the villainess of the story itself. So she immediately is like following Claire everywhere, even though Claire is like actively treating her terribly because Ray Taylor in the game, which is who she is now, was being bullied by Claire because she's a commoner and she's the main character of a game with a villainous character.
And she's the Otome heroine.
But yeah, she's constantly falling on Claire, saying, treat me bad more because I like it, because I love you so much. I love you, Claire. Eventually, she becomes her maid and starts following around that way. All the while, Claire just wants her to leave me alone. So, yeah, I got a kick out of that whole scene where they're trying to find a maid for Claire, and so she goes immediately and signs up for it. And they have the interview, and Claire's like, "Hell no, not going to happen. Get the hell out of here." And then the father comes in, and she's like, "Hey, father," or Claire's father, can I talk to you for a minute? And then she mentions something about probably something
with the Otome
secret
game,
that's in the game, and he's like, "Claire, she's gonna be your new maid." She's like, "What, Dad?" And I'm thinking to myself, and I hope the assumption is that it's like some super like deep dark secret about his company or his wealth or something like that. And it's like, you're gonna end up dead. I'm surprised he didn't go, "Oh yeah, sure, okay," and then like 2 days later, Ray ends up showing up dead. Like Ray Taylor suddenly disappeared from the school, and they found her body in a lake nearby. Anyways, yeah, she starts working as her maid and cleaning after her.
Did you see the slime?
I don't recall a slime now.
Okay, that was the 4th episode. So the The maid episode was episode 3. Here's the thing with this show. I was super excited about this one. If I remember right, I put it in my
like villainous shows.
Yeah, of all the villainous shows, this one did not work for me. There is another villainous show that I'm absolutely loving, Desuwa, but it is not this one. There's no
other villainous show this season. You're crazy.
She's not quite a villainous. I admit it.
It's not an Otome game. That's really what it is.
Right.
I know one that I like. Tsundere Lisa. Lisa Lot was great.
Yeah. But that's not this season.
It's like, go watch Villainous Lisa Lot, not this show. That was winter last year. Holy crap, dude. This year.
I was super excited about this one. Going into it, I literally watched that first episode, and I think me and Andrew were getting ready to do a podcast, and I looked over at it and I said,
He always looks over at me first. It's weird.
Yeah, I look over at Andrew and I say, I said it like this, Andrew.
He looked over at me, and then he said that. And
Andrew.
Then I looked
and I threw my hands up at Andrew and I said, Andrew, I was very disappointed in Villainous.
I was disappointed.
Okay. Now, over the course of the couple of episodes, maybe you can say it's some Stockholm Syndrome crap or something. I've kind of eased off on it. I don't hate it as much, but it's still not... I still am wanting more out of this. Here's the biggest problem I have with this is probably Ray. Ray is not working for me in any way, shape, or form. She's her M trait, if you want to call it that, is really obnoxiously annoying. Her constantly begging Claire to basically berate her is really kind of annoying. I kind of want some growth, and that's why I say maybe that's why I'm starting to. It feels like it's not as annoying as it used to be because Claire seems to be chilling out on it a bit, and so. In turn, Ray seems to be chilling out on her, constantly exclaiming, please, by all means, step on me. But that's all that there has been in the last few episodes is literally Ray doing something, Claire's getting mad, Ray's complaining or telling her that how skita she is about her, and now she's a maid, and then slime attack. So... it is what it is. Hopefully it will continue to actually get to something.
Does the slime introduce ecchi elements?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It just made Claire look really cool. Because Ray chose the unknown fifth option that chose her, so she ended up being the hero of the battle.
Yeah, that was one of those kind of interesting elements kind of added to the mix of it that you kind of are intrigued by. Again, this kind of goes to that whole element of the villainous isekai, is that it's either you isekai as the villainous or it's just about how the characters love the villainous. They love the storytelling around Otome games is always around the villainous. And like I said, I really, really enjoyed Leaslot a lot because it had that whole, ringlets, tsundere type of joke that was really well executed on. I felt like that show got a little repetitive at some point in there, and I think this is kind of having the same suffering here, is that it's just, I love the villainess. The villainess is super cute. Look how she responds to you loving the villainess, and oh, I love seeing that reaction because she's not used to being loved. It's kind of in that realm so far with me, and so I have hopes that it'll eventually get to something interesting, which my only assumption would be in the idea of how she's trying to avoid flags with the male interest, because she ends up catching their interest even though she doesn't want their interest. She wants Claire. And I hope that could possibly do something, but I'm not really getting anything with Ray and Claire. I think Claire's cute, but yeah, all tsundere villainesses are cute. That's not giving it much credit. It's just an archetype that's fun, and whether or not it'll do something is the question. I absolutely agree. I think that the slime battle was literally if that's what they're going to do, I think it could work. That's about the only thing that this show has got going for it, is literally forcing the fifth option. And
So yes, that could work. I think it could. It might be fun to see that as the option. Literally, like Andrew was saying, she's constantly that is one of the side things that is tossed in here and there is her kind of dodging flags. So that is kind of one of those fun things that is kind of unique to this show, but it's so bogged down by the interplay between those characters. But yeah, it could be fun, and yeah, this is one of my desuas of the season. Oddly enough,
there's like 3 desuas.
4.
Is it 4?
Yeah, the one that I told you not to watch.
Oh, I don't count then. Let's see here. That's I'm in love with the Villainess. Innocent Shadow, 2nd season. Have you been enjoying that? I guess we don't really have to get into too much detail of it, but you've been enjoying the new season of that?
Yes.
I really like the first
took me a while to get to it.
I'm not sure about this next arc though. At least the first episode of this next arc was not big for me. I got a kick out of a rare Sid making me laugh moment with him freaking out about the copying the currency thing. Is that how you really feel?
Is that how you really feel?
But
really?
Delta saved that episode. I loved seeing Delta. I was like, it's Delta! I miss Delta! But no, the first arc was obviously around the Queen of Vampires and Mary and Claire. Claire stuff. I love that last episode of that arc. Having a certain somebody show up with Claire at the very end. I was super mass hype. I was like, I forgot how much I love this other character that essentially is inside of Claire for a moment.
Roku.
I was super. She's like, hold on a second. I had to unbutton the shirt.
Oh, okay,
it's
gotcha.
too tight. But no, I loved her showing up. That was super massive hype for me. But as per usual, didn't really care for the roundup. Always
glad.
is disappointing to me in the end.
I was kind of glad that they didn't kind of just dump that character. I was kind of glad they
you knew that they were gonna save it. You gotta have all the cute ones in the show. You can't kill any cute ones. They have to stick around forever and ever and ever. But no, it's like the intriguing thing that kind of came from that whole segment was the aspect of the corrupt, the progenitors, and how that all kind of mixes together and how it's kind of all tied in together, question mark. I thought that stuff was pretty fascinating. At the same time, it still isn't catching me with Sid. I'm always really open about that with
I don't think you've never liked Sid.
I don't like Sid alone.
He's
really
kind
what it
of
is. I don't care for Sid alone.
He is weird in the fact that he is the story, and at the same time he's kind of this annoying aspect of the story that you kind of just you wish he had a different personality for what he is. Yeah, I kind of want.
I came to an agreement with a lot of people when I was doing impressions of the first season. It's like I came to this understanding with everybody. Like let's get this out in the air. I'm not a massive fan of Sid. I like when Sid with other characters because it has like it's got like a Eins on Gold kind of thing going on where he says something and they misinterpret it, or they'll do something and he just kind of runs his own direction. But I've always loved the side characters.
Yeah,
I loved this season. Loved what they're doing with Claire. I was like, holy crap, they're doing something with Claire. I was massive hype about that. I love all these characters. I think they're super fascinating. I think the world itself is fascinating. It's just I don't. Like, even with the whole joke with I got a kick out of the fact that he was starting to mimic what Mary said. Yeah. I laughed at it like 3 times.
It just became stupid repetitive.
But that's what I mean. Yeah. It's like the first 3 times I'm like, this is so funny because he's just going around and everybody's like, who are you? Or what the hell's going on? And he just goes like, it is time.
It is time.
It is
the
happening.
Frenzy is begun.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's funny. And then like literally by the end of it, I'm like, oh, please stop. You're doing it again. It's like the Kirito guy, his friend that's always like racking up debt. That's been his joke this whole season too. Is like, please stop. He's not funny. And when he became a ghoul, I was like, oh, they're gonna cure this. This writer's not gonna kill that character off. This writer's not gonna kill that character off. But no, it's like I fully let people know that. And so I don't let it really dictate my enjoyment. So I've been kind of just focusing all the other stuff, which I found interesting. The biggest, I think, upset for the season so far has been the fact that when the first season ended, I was like, here we go. We're going to see Shadow Garden. Like, we're going to watch Rose as she joins Shadow Garden, and she's going to get trained and everything, right? Cut forward, she's already trained apparently, and I'm like, we're not even going to show it. No, we're doing vampires, which, okay, I'll do vampires. It's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying this season. I'm not too sure. The first episode of this next arc, I'm like, we'll see.
I still love the fact that it kind of still the world seems to be kind of shaping itself to his delusions. I still love that is part of what it feels like as far as the show is concerned. So I'm still absolutely loving it. And yeah, Sid is kind of this weird anomaly that I love and hate at the same time.
You know something that he did? The only thing I think, honestly, that he's done this season that I really didn't like, he got offered 100 Beast Girls, and he's like, no, I want to go forge bills.
Right?
No, I don't want to get involved with you, Delta, and your 100 Beast Girls and taking over the tribe. I'm too busy counterfeiting bills. Like, that's what he wants to do. He's special. He's a special man. I'm just curious why he's helping Yukime. Like, he's literally going to take down the company. And it's like, why are we doing that? Like, did I miss a conversation somewhere? We'll see. Anyway, that's Eminence and Shadow second season. It's still going strong. I think that's going for 2 cores too. It probably would. I'm assuming. I don't think they've said otherwise. Anyways, Noble Lady. You watched Noble Lady, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's a shocker. Are you planning on it?
It depends on what you say.
Guess we'll find out. We'll find out if Chris is gonna watch it. But no, I'm giving the Noble Lady a lesson in naughtiness. Where is it at? I have way too many shows in this document. It takes forever to.
It's literally that's the issue. Is there's so many daggum shows. It's like I'm trying desperately to catch up on stuff and
cancel. Last week
I'm already considering dropping a few, but I'm
and now Pluto dropped. We're
going to
Pluto is like 20 episodes length.
At some point, me and Andrew are probably going to start divvying some of the lesser wanted shows to each other. I'm probably going to keep watching that stupid show that I told Andrew not to watch. And
please stop. Just don't. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Why are you watching it?
Because it's weird.
Because it's weird.
Because it's weird.
So is godApp.
It's kind of in this weird this area of I want to watch it because it's weird.
Yeah, I'm giving the disgraced Noble Lady I rescued a crash course in naughtiness. I'll spoil her with delicacies and style to make her the happiest woman in the world.
Is it cute? That's all I care about.
Yes, Kanyaku haki sareta rejo wo hirota ore ga ikanai koto wo oshiekumo. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, komu. I got it wrong. Anyways, no, this one opens up with this disgraced Noble Lady. Charlotte Evans, she's fleeing some guards. As we find out later on, she got betrayed by this count or something like that and claimed that she was doing some evil things and she was supposed to be captured. She ended up fleeing to the nearby forest where she collapses, and Alan Crawford, who is seen as many people as being the Demon Lord, like everybody's afraid of going out in the forest where his little mansion is because they're afraid he's going to kill them. He shows up and pretty much brings her in, fights off puts all the knights to sleep, and then erases her memory from their minds, makes them believe that she's dead and to leave. And then he takes her back to his mansion where he pretty much quickly realized this girl is really nice. Like, she just got wronged horribly by this kingdom, and he's reading the news and everything like that, and he's like, why is she not angry? And so he's kind of the type that just kind of does something because he finds something interesting in it. Like, all he does in the forest is just do a bunch of different studies and stuff like that. And so he decides that he's going to pretty much make it his mission to, like the title leads you believe, make her naughty, make her do things that gives her something to want to fight back. Like, again, it frustrates him that he doesn't understand why he doesn't find he was mistreated horribly by her parents. Like, they've been basically treating her like a maid. and he doesn't understand why she doesn't get angry about it. So he's going to teach her the naughtiness in life. So it starts off by him buying a boatload of desserts and just saying, we're going to eat all these sweets. And she's like, but we have dinner. We can't eat all these sweets. And he's like, no, eat it all. We're going to eat all these sweets. Don't care. Just do it. Then he ends up having this one delivery lady shows up, and she has this little catalog, and he gets this master idea from the catalog. He ends up ordering a gigantic punching bag, and it has the photo of the mean guy that betrayed her, and tries to get him to punch the bag, and she couldn't do it. And then he ends up using a spell to force her to punch him just to get it out of her system. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, again, the idea here is that he doesn't understand why she thinks the way she does. Like, he's all about, like, yeah, if somebody wrongs me, I'm gonna make them pay for it. Whereas she is too pure. This girl is too damn pure. Like, she's just like cleaning up the house. He's like, you don't have to do that kind of stuff. You know, relax. You don't have to do that. She just wants to help out. And again, she doesn't find any sort of malice in other people that he does. And so it's just kind of trying to teach those things to her in a sense. So yeah. My thoughts on the show so far, I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I would. To be honest, when we looked at this in the previews, I was like, this is a Chris show. I'll check out an episode, but it's probably a Chris show. This is probably going to be one of those perfect waifu, all about, you know, oh, she ate a cute sweet and now she's super naughty, right? I thought it didn't, the title and everything gives me the impression that the show is just not going to have any substance to it. But to be honest, it kind of works in that I'm not getting anything from Charlotte. She's cute. She's too pure, but she's there. She's fine. What sort of works really well to kind of make this whole show work is that Alan has sort of that diabolical, but he's not actually evil mentality. Like, this is one of those guys that it's like he's a Chuny character. Like, he's just in his head about like, I'm going to do this thing. And it's so stupid. It's that kind of chemistry that's going on, is that he's constantly thinking of these crazy things that he really badly wants to have her do. And it seems more diabolic than it actually is, which kind of plays in the whole idea that everybody thinks that he's a demon lord when he's not. He's just a dude that's in his little mansion doing his studies and selling that research to other people. That's how he makes his money. He just has everything that he needs, and he just kind of wants to be left alone. But he's just in his own mind all the time with these master plans that he finds so diabolical, and it's not really technically that diabolical. It's like, oh, I have the greatest plan. I'm definitely going to make you naughty this time. And it's like literally open up this big box, and it's just a punching bag with the guy's face taped on it. It's just like, okay, I'm definitely going to make you naughty this time. Voila. And it's a bunch of stupid sweets. It's so much more grander in his own mind, I guess, is the funny that I get out of the show. I think his personality just sells it, and the seiyuu for him is really selling it. Again, yes, on the side is that aspect that he's trying to change this girl that's way too damn pure for her own good. And it all kind of works. It works out really well. No, it's not like a show that I'm like craving for the next episode. Like oh gosh, I need the next episode now. It's just one of those shows that when I watch it, I find myself enjoying it. And not that it's doing anything incredible, but at the same time, it just has a really good chemistry there. And again, a main character that just seems to be selling the shtick really well. So, yeah, much more enjoyable than I thought it would be. I'm quite impressed by it. So, yeah, I suggest at least an episode of it.
Probably sold.
Not that I can say you can fit it. You'll have to give me a list. Your stupid show about the guide or whatever. Yes, get rid of it. Watch this show instead. There, I gave you a show to replace it with. You're welcome. Let's go on to 16-Bit Sensation. Did you get a chance to watch that one?
No.
That one's a keeper. 16-Bit Sensation, I think, was one of the ones. Yeah, it was one of the ones that I was like super hyped for. And it was like the PV soul me. I was like, holy crap, I gotta watch this show. But yeah, 16-Bit Sensation, Another Layer. This one is running for 13 episodes, done by Studio Silver, based on a manga. Comedy slice of life is the genres. This one is the creator for this one is Tamaki Wakaki, who of course created World God Only Knows. This, of course, the concept here is that apparently it was based on people's experiences working for Aqua Plus, which Aqua Plus, who is the publisher for like Leaf and stuff like that, did like Two Heart 2 and Hutawaramano. So they kind of know a little bit about the like the visual novel industry. But no, 16-bit Sensation Another Layer opens up with our main character, who is Kanoho. And Kanoho is a massive, massive fan of the shoujo games. She loves cute girls. She loves all those old visual novel games with these stories about some cute girl that has some sort of troubles that she faces, and she fights to grow and overcome difficulties. You know, Kanan, Clannad, that type of stuff. Those old shoujo games. And she's working for her, basically doing her dream. She's an illustrator, and she's working at a visual novel company. But unfortunately, the company she's working at just makes bargain bin ero stuff. Like, they just do like time stop, hypnosis MILF stuff, I think is what they were working on. So it's like these really crummy ero games that just go in a bargain bin somewhere, really cheaply made. And she's just upset because she wants the company to make those massive, epic visual novels of grand stories of cute characters and stuff. But yeah, as she's kind of upset about this whole situation, she's realizing it's kind of a little bit of into the concept that the world of Bishoujo games and stuff is sort of dying in its current form. Kind of getting into the idea that everybody just experiences these stories and stuff through, it's all in gacha games now. It's in anime. Nobody plays visual novels anymore. So yeah, she's a little bit upset about this. She ends up finding this little shop that's selling like a copy of like all these old like Rants and Canon and stuff like that in like mint boxes inside of this bargain bin for like 100 yen. And she goes to the store clerk and's like, why are these in this bin? You realize how expensive you could sell this for online? And she's like, no, I have, this old lady's like, no, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. What is that? And she's like, you don't know what this is? It's this. Can you explain it to me? Yes, I could explain it to you. She goes on this big tirade about Canon and how the story is so amazing and tells this old lady about it. She's like, you really like these games, don't you? She's like, yes, I do. But yeah, kind of talking to this old lady. She kind of just, the old lady realizes, you really like these games, don't you? And she's like, no, it's not that I like it's not just the games. It's not just the cute characters. It's just the stories that it tells. She kind of dreams that or wishes that her illustrations that she makes, these cute girl that she created, will one day be able to become, have the life breathe into it in a video game. But yeah, she eventually comes back later on, and the shop's gone. She's like, crap, there's no way this lady moved out this quickly. She goes inside there and ends up finding this note in this bag, and the bag's full of a few of the really, old games that were in the store that she just seen. She ends up opening one of them, and it teleports her to 1992. Where she goes back to her workplace for some reason. She doesn't go back to her, her parents or anybody that she knows. She goes to her work. But at her work, she finds this alcohol. I forget what it was called. I think it was Alcohol Inc. or something like that, which is a game company, and they're making a Bishoujo game. And she tells them that she's from the future, but they don't believe her, obviously. But then she quickly asks if she can, work there. She'll work for free as long as she gets, make a Bishoujo game. So yeah, she finally gets to experience making games that she loves so much from the past, and quickly realizes it's very difficult to make games in the past compared to her tablet and stuff like that. She gotta learn how to click them pixels. She got that old paint program. She gotta click those pixels. She only got 16 colors to work, or 15 technically. They do 15. She only got 15 colors to work with. She gotta learn how to skill that dithering, and to make those characters in 16-bit. But yeah, it kind of gets into the There's obviously a lot of difference that she's running into working at this company in 1992 versus the current time, 2023. And the idea that, yeah, like the technology is different. They have to scan in things and then try to convert it to grayscale and then color them in. It's getting into the programming and stuff like that. And this the kind of very homey nature that she's feeling with the dev group that she's working with now, and how much camaraderie they all have. To offset her, you have this guy, Mamoru Rokuta, who is the programmer, who's working there because his dad owns a company. And he's sort of the opposite in the idea that he doesn't like it. He thinks that it's a fad, that visual novels are going to go away soon enough, and that he wants to work for a real gaming company. So, yeah, that's a lot to get into. Well, the other side thing is that eventually she pops back in the modern times, and then it kind of jumps forward a little bit, story-wise. So it gets into different technologies and stuff like that. So, but yeah, my thoughts on it so far, it's sorta. I gotta be very clear because people hate whenever I compare things. It's sort of like Shirobako for visual novels. Like, I love that aspect of it. It's such a look into how these games were made. And honestly, I can make my assumptions about how these games are made based on my knowledge of gaming and programming and imagery and stuff like that. That I can see how it all comes together. But it's so cool to kind of see it from the eyes of people that, you know, obviously we're in the industry and know a little bit about it. The kind of the processes, the difficulties they run into, the errors, the bugs, all that kind of stuff, the debugging, that kind of stuff, the limits that certain things have, how you can't put too much here, otherwise it breaks the code, even though the code is technically functioning properly. There's a lot of like insights into that industry that I love. Mixed in there is the sheer like ganky nature that is Konoha, which I've already seen a few people are kind of bugged by her. She's got the best way to describe her is she's legit Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War. It's her seiyuu. The internal Kaguya, whenever she's like super squeeing and getting excited all the time. It's like, take that it is actually in a self within Kaguya, take that form, and she's Konoha. So I love her. I find that she's super passionate. It comes out that she's just super passionate about the game itself and the shoujo games and cute girls, and she's just high energy in that regard. And so I love it for it. But I can see people being a little bit off put by that.
I don't know. You might have actually brought me on board.
Just because of her saying she's so cute. I love it.
I love her voice.
But no, it's like you technically can say that is a negative. And I think if people are too bugged by it, maybe wait for a dub. But because it kind of is worth it in the idea that this is such a great look into the industry itself and the passion that people have for it. I love that kind of meta, that something like this is literally making a argument against how a lot of companies are moving away from visual novels and sort of incorporating them into other things. Like they point out I mean, it's so funny because this is literally like there's Aniplex all over the place for this show. I think obviously Aniplex is producers for it. So you'll see like she's in the town and stuff like that. You'll see fake Grand Order stuff on the wall. You'll see Madoka Magia Wrecker stuff on the wall. You'll see a lot of advertisement for like Saikano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. Her room is just plastered with A1 Pictures, licorice coils all over the place. Her room is literally A1 Pictures. And what's funny about that is like she at some point kind of detests the idea that these mobile games are what's popular now. And like she gives this like glared look at a fake Grand Order poster. And then she goes home and there's literally Magia Record character stickers on her shelf. And it's like, come on, be a little aware there, Aniplex. But I like that kind of look into the idea of how this is a lost art. It is sort of pointing it out. Now, there's author stuff on the walls and stuff like that. So they're still kind of showing that this is a thing. But it is kind of one of those self-aware things that the story is telling, and the idea that this is a death of something, a death out of an industry, basically. It's the watching the death of the industry and how Konoha herself cannot accept that. She doesn't like where it's going, and now she's given a chance to kind of re-experience it. And you're seeing that love and passion that the characters have for the art of creating these visual novels and these stories that people adore. It's been a lot of fun in that regard. I will admit, after the first return, I wasn't really feeling it. I was kind of getting annoyed by how much time they were putting on Mamoru and that whole difficulty that Konoha was facing in dealing with him. But I'm hoping it'll kind of steer back into what I've been enjoying for the series so far. But I haven't watched this last week, so I'm hoping it'll correct itself, because like I said, the first few episodes I was really enjoying. So yeah, super good, super enjoying it. Hopefully it keeps holding strong going forward. So yep, Kaguya-sama in the past making Adoro games. That's 16-bit sensation. godApp. Okay, Chris, it's time. godApp. You can finally talk about the show that I'm I don't remember telling you to watch it. I think I told you to watch one episode because it was weird. And then you just got sucked in, eh?
Yep.
Just got sucked in. I'm gonna have so much fun explaining this
It's
story.
one of those. It's one of those. You watch that first episode. You watch that first episode and you go,
"Did that just happen?"
Did that just happen?
I was gonna say I kind of want you to tell the story. Can you explain what godApp is, Chris? The amazing new CGI anime done by the creator Yoko Taro, who of course is known for creating Nier, which he's an interesting individual.
Okay, CGI dude like has a crush on chick, and she's a CGI chick, and the
CGI is literally nothing to do with the story. He's just saying the visual design is CGI. They're like, wait, so it's a computer game? Like they're in a computer world?
Yeah, because CGI's. And so anyway, dude has a crush on chick, and he really, really wants to get together with her. And then at some point, he gets this weird app on his phone, which is kind of the setup of several of those shows. Anyway,
Death Game.
So, anyway, the app asks him if to make a wish. He wishes to do something quote unquote naughty with homegirl, and so they go to his buddy's place where he knows that they're not going to be bothered, which he doesn't have a family, so I don't know why he didn't go to his house, but it doesn't matter. No, he does have a family because never mind.
You forgot the part where his friend mama, had him record him jump off the side of the school, which that's some reason ended up on the internet. That got him expelled. She thought it was her fault because he essentially was trying to show her how to use
Andrew's
an app.
taking over my story.
But it's important to know that because that was the reason why she came to go
I thought that the important part was the girl, okay?
Yes, we all know the etchy part.
Because the etchy part.
The wish fulfillment of the death game does happen. Tell us, Chris, what happened?
He plays for a little bit in front of homegirl.
Well, at first she was like,
and then he
want to do this, right?
He looks super relieved while he's doing it.
He looked so confused. He was like, why is this happening? But I kind of like it. It was like, it was the stupidest face. And of course, then you have Lol pops out going, congratulations. And he's only, and she's just sitting there. Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Then girl, like, stabs a knife into a daggum bargain bin, like, meat thing.
No, he stabs it into a dude that gets killed by a telephone pole.
She does that too. But yeah, then her little meat skewer turns into a daggum, like, cloud sword, and she starts to swing at him. And apparently his, like, little fairy friend is his book, and his book, like, changes the fabrics of the universe, apparently, and makes a meteor fall on top of her, which that wasn't immediately apparent at the time.
No, it was debris from a satellite.
From a satellite, okay. At any rate, that wasn't immediately clear until later episodes in which his little fairy friend tells him that, oh yeah, that's what I did for you. And he apparently gave up all of his good karma to have homegirl come back to life. So, and he doesn't want anything back from her, but she feels like weirdly indebted to him. So now she's kind of trying to help him out.
It's not like I want to help you or anything. Huh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird tsundere-ish vibes. Then his best friend turns out to be kind of wanting to kill him too, because he found that because his power is to be able to see into the future, he found that the only way that he could have a good future is for himself to die. So
the only route that wasn't sucky, was to let him kill him.
And so then the next episode, we get the science girl.
Oh, you got the science girl? I haven't seen the science girl yet.
Yeah,
I was excited to see the pigtail science girl.
Yeah, she's gonna be fun. I can see she's gonna be fun.
Hopefully. hopefully she doesn't turn into another derpy face. I want to kill you, but they have to because it's death game. Everybody has to die, right? That was a decent that was a decent story there, Chris. Yeah, the idea with the thing is that yes, it's an app that is trying to create the next god. We kind of missed that whole plot point. But yes, it's a death game to find the next god that will take over the world. And in order to trigger that you're a part of it is you have this app installed and then it asks you for a wish. Again, he technically wishes, he's like, this is stupid, whatever. Yeah, sure. Let me have ecchi time with Honoka. And it just so happens that yes, it happens. But yeah, the idea here for Goro that we find out from his first battle is that his power is like this grimoire of twisting karma. The Lal, who is the fairy that follows him around, is this controller of karma. And so it twists the very fabric of the world itself. And what happens with the first battle with Honoka is that he twists karma to the point where it places so much negative karma upon Honoka that somehow this debris just happens to fall pinpoint through her from space, which is kind of crazy. And yes, he implies that, yes, I don't want her to die. How do I undo that? And Lal's basically like, if you want to, yes, you can go ahead and do that. It's fine. Which is the idea is that he pulls so much negative karma upon himself that it undoes her death. And so it cuts scene to the very end of the first episode and the idea that, yes, when he wakes up, there's literally like all this horrible stuff about his family's written on the walls of his house. His mother is no longer a day trader. She's a drunk just sitting in her living room chucking bottles at him. They just everything negative. There's gossip about the fact that he is some sort of pervert. So something spread online, which I'm assuming is probably some footage of him doing naughty things at Honoka that maybe got out. It's just this idea that he somehow has pulled negative karma upon himself and ruined his own life for the sake of saving her life. Because it was just something he didn't want to be the death of her. So it kind of turns that whole thing where, yes, this is a death game where the main character does not want to fight. Which is always annoying in these death games because you always have to have the main character that doesn't want to fight, doesn't want to kill anybody. So how do you finish a game where only one person can live in the end? How do you not kill people in a game where everybody has to die? So it kind of starts out with that concept. But yes, over time, again, Honoka is like, I don't know why you did that, but okay, let's go ahead and work together kind of thing. Again, like you said, Yutaka is like, just his best friend. He apparently has always wanted to be able to help other people and be the brave one to save people, the power to save people essentially. And that was his power, is to see the future. They had some dude that can like set fire to everything, which I'm guessing is probably going to be a scientist girl. But yeah. So what is your actual thoughts of it?
It's weird.
Just weird. The CGI is not as bad as I thought it would be. I think they're doing a good job with sort of stylizing it. It's got a unique style to it, and there's a few kind of touches of detail they put, like whenever they go into like a battle zone or whatever, it has almost this effect of like the environment itself like burning away, which I think is really clever. They're at least doing interesting stuff with what they're given, which is CGI.
I think that the Nier guys' kind of flair for artistic is in there in a lot of those cases. And I think that's one of the things that I do.
I think they even have the musician from the Nier franchise too. So it's got some crazy music in there, like some almost like semi trance techno kind of stuff.
Yeah, I will admit the music is kind of I do kind of like the music as well. There's so many things about this show that it's like I sit here and I'm like, I want to kind of give it credit for, but at the same time, there's also these aspects of this show is just so weird. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, even when I was trying to, I'm kind of being silly in the way I was describing a lot of what was going on, but in all actuality, at its base nutshell, it's like Andrew was saying, the whiny guy going in. I mean, that's the death games. I mean, we've seen that several times, but at the same time, we're talking about some really heavy, in a lot of cases, some brutal crap. So in a way, I kind of go, yeah, I kind of get why he doesn't want to do this crap. I mean,
Yeah, I think around Yutaka was heavy.
yeah, it's
The
like
stuff around Yutaka was pretty heavy. Even though, yes, technically the whole I've seen thousands of possibilities and this is the only one that works. I've seen that story bit before, but it was still like that was kind of a little bit traumatizing.
I mean, the girl that he likes turning around and going psycho on him, and it's like, yeah, I can kind of see you kind of. He technically likes her. Okay, I guess it's kind of weird,
I mean,
but
the powers is what gets me. Like her power, it's called Carnival. Her power when she first manifested, like Chris mentioned, she basically was going to kill Goro, and he dodges and it hits this telephone pole. The telephone pole just smashes some random dude that was walking down the street. Her response is to go over, stab her. Her power is she has this knife, and she stabs it in a thing. It seems to imply, unless they said something in the recent episode, it seems to imply it's based on freshness.
yeah,
Because when she stabs this dude that just died, it was pretty big and it lasted for a long time. And then the power goes away. And then she takes out literally, she's talking to him. He's running from her and she's going on this big dialogue about how, yeah, do you know the butcher shop down on Main Street? They has the freshest cuts. And it's like, are you implying this idea that his cuts are so fresh that these blades are going to be super good? Just hang out for a second. Let me cut into this nice fresh meat here, and it'll probably be a really good cut for you. It seems like each one of these powers. What I was sort of intrigued by initially when I started watching this show was the aspect of his power, which is, like I said, karma, and how he's pulling upon himself horrible karma, which I thought, for the trope of main character that doesn't want to kill anybody but has to kill people because it's a death game, for that type of trope, it works because he's undoing death. Like, the death isn't, like, solidified. It's not sticking to it. It's undoing the death. It's faking it out in a sense. But it's causing horrible things to him. Like I said, the first time we see him leave his house, his mother's like... His mother was kind of mean. She's like, go get your pills from the hospital. I don't want another outburst from you again. Implying that he has some sort of issues mentally or something like that. He has to have this medicine. And then, like I said, she's sitting there in the living room with like a whole bunch of trading stocks on like 3 monitors or whatever. Then he saves Honoka, and then he's coming down the stairs and she's on the couch drunk, throwing bottles at him, and he goes outside and it's covered with, makeup or the usual like repent for your actions, your horrible family, get out of here, apologize, whatnot. And it's just spray paint all over his walls of his house as he's walking out. And again, like I said, some people kind of mention the idea that he's a pervert, that he's posted up a video about something, which, yes, could mean, his friend jumping off the side of the building, which he didn't technically do. But it seemed to imply that it was something perverted because they were calling him a pervert. So it's like, interesting idea of having a main character that sort of has to take upon himself karma and negativity. Now, I haven't quite figured it out because the fight with Yutaka, it didn't quite make sense to me because it's almost like he's trying to figure out his power, but it's not really being quite clear exactly how it works. Again, like I said, other than just placing him, there's got to be a catch to it because it's like either I give somebody massive amounts of negative karma and they die, or I bring karma upon myself and save people. There's got to be something else to it, and I'm really intrigued by that. Yutaka's was like, again, I see futures, and it's not a good sight, which I guess is the twist there, but I was sort of wondering if each one of their powers was based on an experience they had. Like with Goro, it seemed like he had bad luck to begin with. And so maybe that's the whole idea, is that he's always had bad karma. Karma's his power. Yutaka, he wanted to be the hero. He wanted the power to help people. Well, how does that play into seeing the future?
I thought he said something about wanting to see the future.
Did he? I don't remember that.
I think I remember him saying something.
But then again, like Hanukkah, the knife and the meat.
That idea, I don't.
Is
think
there a possibility there's some sort of? It seems to imply that each one of them has some sort of trauma, and I'm thinking that's going to be applied to the powers and whatnot. So I'll be curious to see how they can expand on it, or if it's even a story beat. But it's been intriguing. Again, the CGI hasn't been as unsettling as I thought it was going to be. I think it got a lot that's to do with they're doing some creative stuff with it, but yeah, at the same time, it's I don't really technically ever care for these death games. I mean, I kind of liked Darwin's game. Was it Darwin's game with the cute goth Lolita?
Yeah.
Red suit.
I was
girl?
gonna say I loved
that was mostly her.
I loved it mostly for her.
It was mostly her. She was carrying it. But I hate all of them, like King's Game and stuff. I've never cared for really much with death games, and so it's got my attention. And a lot of that's just because it's kind of weird.
It's weird.
It's kind of a little dirty and weird. And that's Yoko Taro, so I'm gonna stick with it. Anything else?
No.
No, you don't.
We gave it more time than it should have gotten.
Did you watch Yuzuki Families?
Nope.
Oh,
I know.
That might turn into it. I don't know. It's like I think that might be because I think you'll just enjoy it just as much as I have for the obvious reasons.
Yeah, I've watched a few of your videos on it.
Yuzuki Family. I've only played. One of those videos was me laughing at the subtitles of episode 1 when they initially posted it. But yes, I had fun doing an impressions video, even though I knew it was going to do crap views because it's a bunch of boys and it's a slice of life. Who cares about a video about a bunch of boys and slice of life?
We do.
The Yuzuki Family's 4 son. Essentially, this one opens up with the Yuzuki family, which is 4 sons.
Who's the old man? Let me see the old man.
The old man. Scroll there. Here's the old man.
Yeah. He's supposed to be the cool guy.
Torajiro.
Andrew said he's a cool guy.
He is a cool dude. But essentially, in this setting, we have the 4 sons, which is Hyato, who is the oldest. We have Mikoto, and then we have Minato, and then we have Gakuto. Essentially, at some point, they lost their parents. And Hayato was old enough that he convinced everybody, look, don't separate my brothers. Because they're all talking about, like, we'll send Gakuto, we'll send him to your uncles. We'll give Minato to your grandparents or whatever. They're just going to give them to different families to take care of the 4 of them. But no, Hayato's like, no, I'll take care of it. I don't want them separated. I'll handle all the bills and everything like that. I'll take care of them. And so he took it upon himself to pretty much work and do his studies and take care of his brothers just to make sure that they all stay together in this one house. All the while, we have Mikoto, who is the second son. He pretty much helps out a little bit. Minato is kind of struggling with the idea that their eldest brother doesn't let him do enough to help out because he sees how much he's struggling. And then Gakuto is kind of just his little cute, pure boy that's just trying to watch the whole situation happen. Our first episode, we kind of follow Minato as he's struggling with the fact that he's not being allowed to help enough, and he tries to help out, and it kind of blows up in his face. We kind of the second episode follows the second son as it kind of gets into how he and the third son they're like 11 months apart, but the youngest of the 2 of them doesn't really treat him with respect. It gets a little bit into their history together and the idea that he really hated his younger brother. Like, he really hated him. It kind of gets in that whole idea where if you're a son that's just born and then not just 11 months later, another son comes along and they get all the mother's attention, how you can kind of jealous of that whole regard, how he's always messing with his toys and breaking his stuff, and he gets really, really super jealous of him, and he's not allowed to be jealous because his mother sees him as being the elder, so he has to be, more grown up. And then eventually him kind of realizing that him supporting his younger brother is something that's a lot more fruitful than him trying to constantly be at each other's throats. Getting a little bit of shown of how to treat his younger brother through his older brother's actions on him. So really, really like that episode. Super good episode. Like, oh my gosh. Anyways, the third episode get into Gakuto. Gakuto being the youngest son, kind of get his perspective on how things have changed and how his brother's going above and beyond. The eldest brother's going above and beyond, trying to, rush home every single day just to be there when Gakuto gets off the bus, and how he's, overworking himself. Eventually finding out that, yes, their neighbor, Torajiro, he has been watching them. And there's a little bit of fear, like, this guy's constantly watching them. Is he trying to catch them and not taking care of what needs to be taken care of, and they'll be all separated? But now, come to find out, one day, when the eldest brother doesn't make it home, he passes out at work. He doesn't make it home in time to meet Gakuto as he gets off the bus. And the old man's across the street, and he's like, "Hey, kid, where's your brother?" And he's like, "Oh, it looks like he's late. Come over here." So Gakuto goes over there to the neighbor's house, and he invites him in, gives him orange juice. sits down and plays some old like old period piece dramas with like samurai and stuff like that. And Gakuto like loves it. And then he's like, well, why do you have all these DVDs? And he's like, well, I always wanted to invite you over so you can watch them over here while you're waiting for your brother. So it kind of turns into one of those things where this old man across the street has known they lost their parents, and he wanted to help them. He never got the courage to go over there and say something like, look, hey, I can handle it. But no, when the elder brother comes back home, he's like, hey, he can come over whenever he wants. He's like, no, that's okay. I don't want to bother you. Because again, the older brother's like so fixated on the idea that if he shows any sign of weakness, he's going to lose his brothers. That's the responsibility that's kind of placed upon him, is that if he screws up, children's services or somebody's going to come by and separate them. And he doesn't want that. So he's afraid of relying on other people, which is heartbreaking. So yeah, I love this show. I love this show so much. And I fully admit, partly due to relatability, a spoiler, brother of three, we're short one, but we're pretty much the same concept here. A lot of relatability watching this show. A lot of the struggles the characters go through are something that just it hits home for me. The brotherly love there hits home for me. The brotherly disputes and fights and struggles and issues all really do hit me personally, and I find all of it's being so well portrayed. With the first episode, seeing Minato and how he so badly just wants to be equal with them. He wants to do his part, but he's always kind of being looked down upon as being sort of unreliable, or at least not old enough or experienced enough to be able to help out, even though he wants to. Again, the second episode, getting the idea of two brothers that just are not getting along well. There's a lot of jealousy there and stuff like that, and the struggles that kind of come there. How they portrayed the emotion in the second episode was so beautifully done. They kind of did this whole, like, every now and then we cut to like just a white background with black scribbles to make like the outlines of the face. And it kind of shows this bottling up of emotions that are kind of building up inside of him until he just ultimately bursts out. I think it was just so the second episode was like, if you don't watch any of that show, like, the second episode is so well done. I loved it so much. And like I said, the third episode was just super sweet with Gakuto. He's super cute. Him being helped by the old man, the old grumpy old man neighbor that you think is out to get you, and then you come to find out he's just a big teddy bear. He just needs to be hugged. He just wants to hug. That was super sweet. I think their relationship with the neighbors is fantastic, and I can't wait to get more into their story. But I love it. I love every minute of it. There's just nothing about this show is not working for me, other than the subtitles. The first episode sucked for a minute, but they fixed it, so everything's good. But yeah, like I've said before, I don't doubt this will be probably like the least viewed show of this season, just because it's boys, it's slice of life, and typically people don't watch that stuff. So if you're a fan of slice of life, if you got brothers and you can relate to that whole thing, I highly suggest it. I think it's super sweet. I like the style of it, visual design of it, and everything looks super good. So I'm loving it. I can't wait for more of it though. Yep, that's Yuzuki Family, 4 Sons. Did you watch Goblin Slayer 2?
God, no.
Goblin? You're not watching Goblin? I'm surprised you're not watching Goblin.
I didn't watch the first season. Why would I watch the second season?
What about Dating Story?
Not enough that I want to put it on this episode.
You don't want to put on this episode? Under Ninja?
God, no. I did do Shield Hero.
Let's get Under Ninja out of the way, because I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let me pull the Band-Aid off of Under Ninja and get it done and over with, Chris.
Wait, are you disappointed?
No, I have theories. I have theories.
Okay. Give me a theory.
All right, so Under Ninja, being done by Tezuka Productions, easily like a show I've been hyping up for like 2 years now, probably 2 years. Ever since they announced the adaptation, I'm like, I've heard of this. It's got to be something good here. I cannot wait for it. It's essentially modern time ninjas. The concept here is that at some point they made a joke in the idea that if you throw a rock, you'll hit a ninja. Or it's this idea that you just don't know who actually hit or something like that. This idea that there's ninjas everywhere. And At some point in the pit, and there's like, I forget exactly. There's, anyways, we follow Kuro, and he is pretty much like this ninja that's just not gotten any work. Like, he's just waiting around, waiting for the organization to bring him a job. Finally, one day, somebody comes by with a job. This delivery guy just shows up, walks in there, immediately knows who he is, sits down, and they talk about, here's your box, your mission's inside of it. Doesn't say really anything else. He opens up the box, ends up finding this jacket in it, which comes to find out later on, it's a very special jacket, so it's like reserved for special occasions. But his mission is to go to this one school nearby. No, the first was the uniform. He's supposed to go to this university or this school nearby and kind of incorporate himself in there. And he comes to find out that there's another group of ninjas there that he's assuming they're having a turf war, and so he wants to get involved with it. At the same time, this delivery guy, which works for the organization, took note of the fact that he had this jacket delivered to him, which is a very special jacket. Again, it's supposed to be for very special occasions. And he's discussing this whole time with this other individual who's part of the organization, I'm assuming, about who this guy is, who this Kuro guy is. And so they start to talk about how he made a name for himself in the past. In the past, at some point, this foreigner showed up. And this foreigner shows up at the airport in Japan, and he's going, where do I find the ninjas? I'm supposed to find ninjas. Where are ninjas at? And the guy's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, there's ninjas everywhere, I guess. And so he's constantly walking around trying to find ninjas, this random foreigner. Eventually, he finds this symbol on the wall. It says something to the effect of, don't pee here. And he calls up his associate back in his home country and says, yeah, I think I found a symbol that says that where's the ninjas at. And they come to the conclusion that he needs to essentially cut off somebody's thing in order to become a ninja. So he starts to go around and cutting off people's things who pee on walls in order to uncover where the ninjas are at, because he so badly wants to join the ninjas, or at least find one. He ends up running into this guy who constantly offers his own chest milk to random kids and tries to kill him thinking he's a ninja, and that guy just jumps off walls and gets away. All the while, at the current time, we have Kuro is at the school where he faces off against this other group for the turf war. At the same time, there's this whole discussion back at his apartment that somebody tried to steal his neighbor's bra, and come to find out, the other neighbor actually stole it. He's been hiding it because he's afraid of being called a pervert if he gives it back to her.
I have even less.
There's show. We come to find out that some kid was trying to use a drone to steal the bra, which he ends up helping. He ends up trying to discover where the foreigner is in order to help Kuro, because Kuro was told to find the foreigner. And okay, that's getting into my point here. 3 things. One, I'm intrigued by the show. I think it's a very fascinating, just odd setup. It's just modernized ninjas, but just kind of the oddities of life. Just not really hiding from much. It's just, this situation's kind of dumb, but at the same time, yeah, sure, it could happen. Over here, it's kind of serious. Like, okay, there's actually this guy going around killing people, and that's kind of serious. It's like, it's the oddities but realities of having a ninja life in modern times Japan. The second thing, I hate how all over the place this show is. I've mentioned this to several people, and I think it's really true. I think this is probably a binge show. Depending on if it can actually come together to something cohesive in the end. Because what I felt like after, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 episodes, I understand what's going on. I understand the story. I understand what's happening with all these characters, but it's telling it so horribly. Like, it's so all over the place. And I think I came down to, I think, like 4 different timelines is the problem. Again, like I said, One timeline is this foreigner showing up in Japan, and then eventually everybody fighting him. This other timeline is, again, something to do with this bra, which it eventually ties in with the foreigner stuff. Then we have the future time, which is where Kuro is facing off against this other group at the school. And then there's this other timeline where this delivery guy who delivered the suit to Kuro is talking to what seems to be their past leader, who just got done fighting the foreigner, so it has to be beyond the point of the foreigner fighting him. Like I said, there's literally like 4 different timelines that are coming together, and there is a cleverness to how well they're telling all those stories to somehow come together, but it's not the problem that it's doing that, because I'm assuming that's probably just fine as you're reading through it. It's going to be fine if you binge watch this show. The problem is that it never feels like it gets anywhere because it's trying to tell too many stories at the same time that come together eventually. So it's doing a good job telling the story. It's just, I want it to get to somewhere. Like, I constantly feel like I get nothing from the episodes besides every now and then like a holy crap, I can't believe they just did that moment. It's an interesting story. It kind of reminds me of something like Odd Taxi, where, like I said, it's a web of stories that all come together somehow. It's just as cleverly done as that, even though I feel like some of these stories don't really have much to them other than just dumb characters talking about how they're going to return a bra. A lot of it feels kind of pointless, but it does kind of come together in an interesting way. It's just, I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it overall because it just feels like it's going nowhere. So I don't know. I really don't know. This is going to be one of those ones where I kind of want to see how they unfold this and if it comes to something of fruition in this one core. But so far it feels like, holy crap, can we get to the point? Can we get to something of substance or firmness, at least? Like, give me some foundation to work with here. But yeah, that's Under Ninja. It's odd. It's an odd one. I like how this jacket is literally like it's a camouflage, like it's a like, you know, like Metal Gear Solid, like a full on reflective suit, whatever, so you can hide yourself. But it's only a jacket, so you can still see his lower half, which makes sense because you're technically they don't know where your center mass is, so you can easily fight somebody better. They can't see where your hands are, but it's like you can always see his feet, his legs. But yeah, that's Under Ninja. There you go. What else? Have you caught up on Arknights? Nope. My Goofy Boss?
Nope.
Quick on Goofy Boss. My Goofy Boss, I think it's charming. It makes me smile. But it's going to fall in that category of I'm not getting enough of this show that I don't think I want to put it in my time. It's basically a guy is in a terrible company. He eventually quits the company, joins this other company because he's seen an ad that was so beautiful and inspired him. And his new boss, he thinks he's going to be mean, but his new boss is just a goofball. He gets a tummy ache because he's nervous, and the boss goes and gets some menstrual pain medicine because he's a dork. They go out and they go to a carnival together, and they scope out the place for an advertisement, and they have fun together. It's, like I said, it's super charming. It's got a little bit of yaoi twinge to it, but it's just super charming. It's a good show. I just don't think I'm going to continue watching it.
Apothecary Diaries?
Did you watch Kingdom of Ruins? Huh?
I started it for a second. Apothecary Diaries was the other one that I caught up on.
Good. We have enough of that. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, you can. Because you that was the other one that you asked me to.
Should we do it now, or should we save it for the next episode? What do we got for the next episode? I want to do all the big bangers in one episode. That's 2 of the big ones, Chris. Yeah, let's do it. The top Apothecary Diaries. We had like a 3-episode drop, and then we had our 4th episode recently, so we got enough to go by. But yeah, Apothecary Diaries done by OLM and Toho Animation Studios, based on a light novel. This one takes place in like an alternate ancient China type setting. We have Mao Mao, who is an apothecarian. She likes to basically does a lot of her own experiments with medicines and poisons. She like experiments on herself, her own skin, just to test medicines. Kind of built up her immunity in a way. At some point, she's told to. Are you okay?
I love the way that you were putting that. Not the entire time I'm thinking about how she's kind of this. She got an addiction to the pain. So they keep playing on that she likes doing that to herself.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, she did. She kind of got this weird little kick out of it.
She likes experimenting. But no, she's sent to go do a delivery at this this burlesque house that she goes to on a regular basis. Where on the way there, or at least on the way back, she gets stuck on like gathering herbs because she loves gathering herbs and all that kind of stuff. And she ends up getting kidnapped. She ends up getting taken to and sold off to the Imperial Palace into service in the Inner Palace, where she is a lowly servant going around doing different chores and stuff for the Inner Palace. Kind of established quickly that this Inner Palace is like nothing but all the concubines, the servants, the lowly servants, and the only men in the area are Enochs. So at some point, she ends up hearing this rumor that the two main concubines both have bore a prince for the emperor, and they are sick. Huh?
Prince and a princess.
Oh, was one of them a princess? I didn't know that.
The redhead had a princess. That's why the other one was so devastated, because she gave a prince.
Yeah, so she ends up overhearing that they're sick, and so being that she loves studying mysteries of medicines and poison and stuff like that, she decides to go investigate. So she over there. She sneaks over there, ends up overhearing this big argument between the two of them, which is Luha and Gyokyo. And what they're basically, what's happening is one is blaming the other one for poisoning them. And really quickly, Mamo gets an idea. She's like, why doesn't the doctor realize this? She notices something. So she's like, how do I tell them? And this manager of this Inner Palace area ends up overhearing her say something to the effect of, I need to find something to write it on. So she ends up going back, ripping up her skirt and writing down on it a note that she ends up leaving on the windowsill of both of these concubines to say, basically, the powder you're using to powder yourself up has poison in it, and you're killing yourself and your baby. One of them, Gyokyo, she takes the words and gets rid of all the powder. She's fine. Lua doesn't. She disregards the message and gets rid of it. Well, word gets out that, Gyokyo did this and it helped her out, and she enlists Jinshi to try to figure out who was this person that left the letter. He quickly, gets an idea. It was probably this girl. Ends up calling all the servants over, points her out specifically by writing on this piece of paper, "Freckles, stay behind," because she knows that she's literate because she wrote the note. She's like, oh crap, he knows that I'm literate, I gotta get out of here. And he stops her, takes her back to the concubine. She thanks her for saving her and her child and asks her to be her lady-in-waiting. And so what kind of comes from this is Mao is now working as a lady-in-waiting for Gyokyo. The same time, Jinshi and whatever will bring different jobs to her. She's actually working as the poison taster for Gyokyo, but for the most part, it's just a bunch of people bringing different mysteries and issues to her, and she basically solves it. Eventually, she ends up help the other concubine, Luha, get over her sickness as well, because she's still sick, even though, again, this message got out that this powder's bad. So, thoughts? Oh yeah, and Jinshi really badly wants to swoon her over, because everybody loves him. He's super hot. But again, he's an Enoch. He's super hot. Eunuch, sorry. I was saying Enoch. He's super hot, but Mama doesn't care. She finds him creepy. Yeah, I said it earlier, Enoch. Why was I saying Enoch?
You keep saying Enoch, and I kept wanting to say something, but I was hoping that you would just catch it.
Somebody in the comments will catch it. Go ahead.
Mao. I like it. She has this just goofy personality that just absolutely works for this show. And of course, Tama's in here, so I know why Andrew drugged me over here. So I had to watch this show for Tama. Ended up finding Mao, and yeah, I love the way that this all comes together. There's a lot of little cool little stories involved with these poisons or whatever have you, and how she kind of solves the problem, and at the same time how she's dealing with these inner court issues involved with politics and all that stuff. And it all really is really working really well. I love the fact that there's this, like Andrew has mentioned, the fact that Jinshi, he's this real big, he's just this pretty boy all over, and he's walking around and just swooning all these girls. And at some point I think it's his second in command, or his second person, his assistant, mentions the fact that he's actually, the point of his character, or his pretty boy nature, is to
test their loyalty.
Test the loyalty of, is it the women or the concubine?
All of them. None of them are allowed to love anybody but the emperor. Right. But yes, the point there was, I believe it was a servant that was trying to get with her, and he's like, doesn't she know that she shouldn't be doing that? And yeah, so the point there was that essentially this Jinshi is who the emperor trusts the most, and has basically put him in that position partly because he's so hot. He will test the faithfulness of all the women in there that should be faithful to the emperor. But yeah. The assumption is just the concubines, but like I said, I think that one specifically was supposed to be a servant. So yeah, I did like that though. It was like this aspect of like, the assumption is that he's just a pretty boy, and he's just going to always be the pretty boy character. And I'd never really cared for Jinshi as a character for the most part. I mean, he did something really cool this recent episode, but for the most part, he's always just kind of been there as I like seeing how Mama reacts to his dumb nature. Like, I just love her going, I'm creeped out. Or he'll throw her a bone and then she'll get excited, but then realize, oh crap, it's Jinshi. There is a chemistry there, but it's mostly reliant on Mama's reactions. Jinshi I didn't care about. But to find out that his prettiness is technically his story, like he's not just an Ikemen Bishoujo or an Ikemen shoujo character that, you know, female audience would love. He's actually got a point to him. Hopefully his character is more interesting than just that aspect, but I've yet to see it at this point. But
yeah, for the most part, it has all been around Mao Mao and the things that she's doing, and I have really enjoyed it. She's smart as a whip. I love the
smart,
huh?
What's whips are smart?
Yeah, she has smart whips. I do love that she has occasionally bumped into these kind of, like I said, there's the politics involved in the inner palace, and I really do love the fact that, for instance, in this latter episode, she was bumping into this wall involved with the issue that literally the emperor had stated, which is basically a command from heaven, and she's sitting here busting her head against these people who are literally causing her to not be able to complete her mission. And eventually Pretty Boy decides to come in and get involved, and suddenly everybody wants to give her all the things that she needs to get done. And it came around to a really fantastic cornerstone to finish off the.
Let's be perfectly clear.
The story.
He got her in the door. He got her in the door. They gave her everything she needed because they got scared of her. I love that. Bam! Oh, here's the powder. Oh man, you're super pretty now. All right, make sure to inhale that. Hey, look what you did. Oh, that was such a good scene. Holy crap. Anyways, yeah, I love this show. This is easily my second favorite. It wants to fight with Frieren, but it's a harsh battle. I think the opening episode, the
opening's fantastic. I love the opening.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the music. I like the music, but it's visually great. But no, I the opening segment of this episode, like episode 1 and stuff, getting the introduction into the setting and everything was great. It gives you a lot of inner perspective of Mao Mao because she's trying to kind of keep to herself, keep her head down. But you're hearing through her dialogue a lot of how she thinks about things, that she's I don't want to stick my head out. This place is cutthroat. You don't want to step out of line. Just do your 2 years, get your job done, get out of there. Accepting that she's been, because it's kind of comical in how she's kidnapped and thrown in there, and she's like, oh no. But it kind of gives credit to her character and the idea that she just kind of accepts it. Like, it's not like I can complain. Like, I can't just go to yell at the guards, hey, I got kidnapped and they sold me. No, they're like, no, you got sold here. We don't care where you came from. Get to work. So she kind of accepts her situation. She kind of goes with it. But her personality is really where it comes out. Her personality and how geeky she is about her desire to do medicine and studying things and researching and figuring out these mysteries and these herbs and stuff like that. How they get into the first story, which was, yes, a simple concept. It's the idea of the powder and how it's got the lead and stuff in it, and it makes him sick. So she figures that out. It gets her the attention that she doesn't want. But they quickly kind of establish her as being somebody who cannot... she just has this thirst for knowledge and research and mysteries and stuff. But she also has this little smidge of justice, which you sort of see as the episodes go along, that you see all these issues that are kind of being presented to her, but she can't help but get involved. Like, every situation, she just can't help but get involved. Yes, in some cases, it's ordered for her. Like, somebody literally orders her to have to go help the other concubine, and she cannot refuse that order. But it kind of just turns in that whole aspect of her kind of figuring out those mysteries and how she gets swept up in it. Making aphrodisiac, getting a little extra that she puts in some brownies, and that gets off into the other ladies in waitings, and she gets in trouble for that. And then we get this whole situation with the sleepwalker. Episode 3 had me crying. Like, it was great because we had a three episode drop. Episode 1, really enjoyed. Episode 2 was a lot of fun. I always loved Mamo's character. Absolutely fun character. Then episode 3, I'm like, what are we doing here? They introduced this idea of this sleepwalker. This lady that's always dancing on this wall. And they kind of want her to look into it. Do you know anything about sleepwalking? And she's trying to figure that out. Getting a little bit about how some people can have anxieties and stuff and have issues with sleeping. So your current state of mind can affect you. And she's trying to figure it out. But she's not an expert in that field. Then eventually she goes and sees the person that is sleepwalking. She notices something. And it all kind of culminates to this send-off, this little last segment of the episode 3 that had me bawling. Like, I was crying because that's partly because they just presented it so well. Kevin Pinkin's music kicks in there. They had some vocals thrown in there. And then the portrayal of what ends up resolving was absolutely beautiful. Like, I'm like, I don't know who these characters are. Like, they just out of nowhere introduced this lady that's got the sleepwalking issue. They just talk about the fact that there's this general that wants an award and he comes back home. And then suddenly I'm crying. Like, who are these characters and why am I suddenly emotional about it? It was just kind of like a story that I didn't really expect to have within a setting like this. And it just kind of worked. And again, how it was presented was so beautiful. And then have Mao Mao on the sidelines sort of just... She didn't really do anything. Like, this is a mystery type show where Mao Mao's solving the mysteries. But this is one of the cases where she technically didn't do anything.
Andrew finally got his childhood friend character.
Mao Mao literally doesn't get involved with the situation, but she gives a hypothesis. Like, she gives her theory at the end. And it's like one of those theories where you're like, if that's true, it's kind of a bad thing. Like, even Gyoko is like, what's your theory? Yeah, we should probably keep that to ourselves. Like, there's this theory that literally could destroy everything. And Mama was like, yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, it's just this idea of what they did was an absolute affront to the empire. And it's like, yeah, I'm happy it worked out though. Like, I like this ending. Let's go with this. I don't want anybody else to know either. It was super good. Like, it was, again, she didn't get involved. I didn't know these characters. I got emotional with how it technically does resolve, but the nugget of cool story twist was what Mama comes to a conclusion of, which technically is something that nobody should know. I loved it. So, and then 4 was great too. 4th episode, we literally have the evil the evil cackling queen that my initial thoughts, of course, is going to be that she's a nasty person. I mean, she slapped Kyoko in the middle of the courtyard. Obviously, she's the nasty one. She's the one that disregarded Mao Mao's note. Obviously, she's the cocky one. My gosh, I wept for her.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
I wept for her. I got so emotional, and a lot of that has to do with like the caretaking stuff, which, oh, that broke my heart. She opened up the windows and started smelling it, and then started cleaning her up and finding out how they totally failed miserably in taking care of her. Again, the slap and getting onto the lady in waitings was super good. The aspect of loss, the aspect of, again, technically getting into what was the impression was an evil princess. That's like so mean and doesn't understand anything, is pompous or whatever. And then realizing that she is technically somebody that is willing to accept that she's wrong and that she can correct her ways. Like getting rid of the mindset that she's just a prideful person, but actually being a good person and getting past all that initial barriers, getting past the letting and waiting that are in her way, and getting that core of who Luha was like, oh, I love this character. Like I suddenly, that shot where she's like exhausted and she lays down on the bed and that lady comes by and sits down next to her. I was like, oh gosh, dude, that was beautiful. It's just a great show. Like through and through, it's a great show. And then you have
I did love
it. We have the Seiyu Aoyuki is carrying Mamo. Like she got the goofiness.
I absolutely loved the little touch of I don't know how to explain it. Where she told her how she could spice up her
yeah, the little secret.
Her little secret,
like
her secret technique, and
excuse me for a minute.
As she left, all of a sudden, poof.
There was a couple little moments like that episode. Did you remember? I noted it in my video where when she first like slaps the lady in waiting and pours the stuff on her and says, "Get this stuff out of here. It's gonna make her more sick. Clean up this mess." And they're all like rushing to do it. And then the guy goes, whoo. It's always scary whenever women change like that. Yeah. And then she's like, oh crap, I screwed up. And then it shows this overhead shot. You could barely see Mao Mao slowly creeping away from him. It was like, it's so subtle, you could almost miss it. And I was like, that's a nice little touch. And again, I appreciate the little puff smoke. I wasn't expecting that. It is kind of one of those things where it's like it's a little bit cartoonishy to have something like that. But like, they technically have other moments where she gets really goofy and silly with the chibi faces and stuff like that. But just to have that art style not chibi-fied and having that effect, it's like it almost doesn't fit and it kind of clashes, but it so works right there because it's like, I don't think he likes me anymore. She's so beautiful. Her hair, her eyes. It's like, yeah, but you have something else. Excuse me for a minute, whispers in her ears. I was like, oh gosh, that's so... She literally drops the mic and walks out of the pavilion. It's so great. I love it. I love it to death. Again, it's not quite dethroning Frieren for me, but it's like in the scale, like Frieren's way up here and Apothecary Diaries is like right underneath that, and then it's like then you have to go down like a lot of notches before you get everything else. Like these two are just up there for me right now. I can't get enough of them. They're fantastic. So yeah, two heavy hitters this season, and hopefully don't. And this is supposed to be 2 core.
Oh yeah,
another 2 core, Chris. So this is another one we don't have to worry about in this year. I'm always like when we get to like fall season, we find out the shows that are 2 core and they're like good shows. Like yes, I don't have to worry about this fighting for a spot this year. I just have to remember it for next year. Otherwise, I'll feel bad. Arknights Paris and Frost is still going super strong. They're getting pretty brutal right now. Getting a lot into Chen and her story, which has been fantastic. I've been loving every minute of it. I highly suggest Arknights to anybody. I think Prelude to Dawn was fantastic, and I think Paris and Frost is just kind of holding it up. It's not the most craziest animation-wise, but the directing's on point. The directing's so on point, so I'm still suggesting that one. What else? You said you didn't watch Kingdom of Runes. Did you watch Vexations?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy that show is actually good. I don't think I've actually done an outline or anything for it yet. But I did watch it. I've been enjoying that one a lot. A vampire. Do you want to try it? Now this one opens up with oh my gosh, Tera Komari Ganda's blood. Is it Ganda's blood? Gan's blood? I forget if it's Gan's blood or Ganda's blood. But yeah, she's a shut-in vampire, as the title would lead you to believe. Well, they get in a little bit explaining why she is the way she is. She doesn't like blood, and so obviously she doesn't gain power from blood because vampires get their power from blood. She doesn't like to go out or anything like that. But one day, suddenly this maid shows up. She kind of comes in and says, "All right, Terakomari, it's time to go." And she's like, "No, I'm leave me alone. I don't want to go anywhere with you." Come to find out, her father, because she said something to the effect that she was going to, grow up and be strong or whatever, he decides to go to the vampire queen and tell her that his daughter wants to become one of these, what were they called? The Crimson Guard or something like that. There's like these limited number of these Crimson like generals, and each one of them make a pact with the queen. And if they fulfill that pact, by successfully doing, what was it, like 1,000 skirmish wins on the battlefield, they will eventually become the queen. If they don't, if they fail too much, they'll lose their head. So it kind of forces her that she has to now suddenly get out of her room, have to control this group of thugs, basically this group of vampires, that vampire soldiers that all want to take her head off because they would love to take her position. She has no strength, so she kind of has to sort of fake that she is powerful, which really works well because her maid is in love with her, basically. So she makes up all these crazy stories about how Teta is so amazingly powerful. And so they're just kind of doing this whole bluff to make her soldiers believe that she is super powerful. So none of them will try to raise their hand against her as they go onto the battlefield for her, seeking glory and fame and wins on the battlefield in order for her to hopefully essentially take over become the queen, or otherwise she'll die. They get into the fact that the battles themselves isn't that bad. The idea that this world essentially has these crystals upon it that whenever somebody dies, they're immediately revived. Or not immediately, but over time they'll be revived. All wounds and stuff will be over time healed. So there's no like death that happens on these battlefields. They're constantly at war with each other, constantly trying to prove themselves on the battlefield. But it doesn't really matter too much because they'll be saved. Well, there seems to be this underground group that is trying to seek true death. They want to actually get rid of these gems and have death be for real. And one of these individuals that's a part of this group is Millicent, who is somebody that Terakomari actually is known from her past when she was in school. And she's actually joined the organization. They have like these special tools or weapons and daggers, whatever, that can actually inflict mortal wounds. And so she ends up taking Vilhaz, her maid, hostage, and that's about as far as I gotten.
That's where I got. I absolutely, in a lot of ways, I really do love the trying to play off that she's a lot bigger and bolder than she actually is. I'm still holding out hope that there's this random
one
thing.
finger she wiped out.
She wiped out this entire school.
It's kind of true. It seems like it's like
apparently it is. True. I don't know. That's what.
Well, they implied so far that somebody was going to cut off his finger. It was actually Millicent. She was going to cut off her finger, and then they're implying something terrible happened after that. So I'm assuming she literally killed everybody. Which I kind of want to see what the hell happened.
I'm holding out this hope that she actually really is as super awesome as they're
well, to find out that the maid was actually there. It makes sense now why she told her generals she literally killed a bunch of people with one finger. And it's like when the moment they kind of implied that, I'm like, that's kind of clever. I kind of like that. Anyway, sorry.
And I do love the fact that she actually, if this is kind of playing off as a actual hidden power that she doesn't even know she has, and I really love that. And it's just built itself up to this kind of cute character that's kind of just bumbling along, but as it plays out, I'm super excited to see how this all will show out, and if all these are revealed, what are these things? Kind of want it to be just a happy, inclusive package. I don't want this to drag on. I really don't.
That's where I'm kind of struggling right now. Like, I loved the first episode so much. I thought it was so freaking fun. I like the whole idea of literally it's basically covering up the idea that she's so weak. So you have constantly this idea of her just putting on this show, and she literally turns into an idol. Like, everybody loves her, and she's literally up there like an idol. But there's always like these dumb stories they're making up that how crazy powerful she is. Well, why don't you go out there and take them all out? Aren't you the one that destroyed a bunch of people with one finger? Well, that would be too boring. So I'm going to stay here and let you guys handle it, kind of thing. And I was really loving that. And I love the chemistry between her and Vilhaz. It kind of has this whole like very Yuri thing. Like, it's a very vampire Yuri kind of thing going on with it. I love the style that they're going with it. It's super spicy in that regard, and I love it. And then it gets heavy. Like, it suddenly Millicent shows up, and it's like, I don't like this. Like, I don't know that I like this sort of. I mean, I do like that question mark about Terokomari and her past, and this possibility of her like decimating the school and everything, which again doesn't technically matter because nobody dies. It's like they make it out there's like this horrible thing happened like this, and now it could be that when she unleashes her power, it actually kills people. I don't know. But the assumption is based on the world itself. Her killing everybody doesn't matter because they come back.
Oh, well, they okay. To be clear, the literal first death in the show, the person came back within a couple of episodes. I mean,
there's an ongoing joke where this one guy really badly wants to take Terokomari's position, and so every time he shows up, like the first scene was where he dashes her when she's opening up the door, and so she closes the door and it literally cuts his head off. And it's like, he pops up later, and she pummels him with a horse, and then he duels her, and then he keeps falling in holes and stuff like that. It's like, it's an ongoing joke. Oh yeah, that was the other one where she's gonna come rushing after Terokomari, and so Vilhaz like pushes her like slightly to the right to make her spin a little bit, and so it kind of makes it look like she just did some weird feint to the guy and get him killed. It's funny. I love it. But yeah, that's like kind of an ongoing joke. This guy just keeps dying and then coming back and trying to take it from her. But I don't know. Do you agree? I mean, are you?
I do.
It's not
I
like
do
it's
agree.
ruining it yet. It's not that it's ruining it, but at the same time, it's like I'm not enjoying it that much right now because it's so heavy. But at the same time, I don't know that it really fits.
I don't much care for it coming out of nowhere. As far as trying to put some kind of weird weight on this
Yeah, suddenly death is a threat.
I liked it being light and goofy and her trying to find her. I'm fine with her having this weird OP power that she may or may not have. I liked like you were saying, her being an idol to these goofy guys, and that one guy is just an absolute obnoxious geek, but at the same time he can't do anything.
Kirito, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Kirito.
He was Kirito too.
Was he?
I think he was.
I actually think you're right.
Is that him right here? This guy? It's Subaru. I thought it was Kirito. It's Subaru. Okay, that makes sense. They're sort of the same. No, I'm joking. They're sort of the same. Senku. Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, it's not ruining it, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I was kind of having more fun earlier. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not necessarily that we didn't turn down a road and suddenly it's just, I don't like what I'm seeing out the window. It's just, I kind of like that last road better. I like the scenic view a little bit more over there. Like, it just didn't have as much light coming through the front windshield, and so it was less uncomfortable. I like the
sun is starting to get over here into the
and you're like, crap, you can't quite place the visor in a way that blocks
in a
it.
good spot. Yeah.
It's like I was enjoying it more when it was just silly, fun. The guy literally trying to dress her up in either a school Mizugi or a grade school uniform, or what was the other thing that she had? There was like 3 different outfits. I think one was a maid outfit. They're just trying to throw all this kind of things upon her, and she keeps rejecting them. And the idol aspect of it, how the maid loves her, the little ecchi mixed in there as well. It was just like a lot of fun mixed in there with this concept of trying to hide that you're weak. I'm just not feeling the whole we want to get rid of immortality thing, and I suddenly have a dagger that undoes the undeath thing. So we'll see. We'll see. But so far, I'm just loving the chemistry. The chemistry is so much fun. Yeah, good stuff. Anyways, that's Vexations of a Vampire Shutin without my outline, which is fun. I guess we'll call it there. How many do we have left? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're almost there, Chris.
Are we?
I won't do it with Pluto, so that's 18 actually. 18 shows, yeah. Oh, and no, did you dog signal? Did dog signal come out?
I have no idea. I've never
17
heard of it.
then. You don't remember Dog Signal had like the pooch and stuff on the cover, and you were like, "Holy crap! I can't wait for that pooch show." I don't remember. I forget. The Turner's Magic was pretty interesting. But yeah, well, that's it for today. Hopefully, we can finish the rest of it next week. Otherwise, I don't know what we'll do. We'll see.
I hate looking at your list.
What list?
The list that you have on the screen. I keep looking at the screen and going, "Crap! I gotta watch that show."
You watched Pig Liver. Let me see. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that you watch some of these shows. You're watching Pig Liver, aren't you?
Yes.
It's okay. That's a given. You're watching Tear Moon. That's good.
Yes, I love that show.
You're watching Stardust, right?
Yeah.
We did Apothecary Diaries. I counted that one too. I mean, that's it. I mean, Kingdom of Runes is. I don't even know if that's gonna be any good.
Undead Unlock.
Yeah, you do have to watch Undead Unlock.
I haven't watched Spy Family.
Girlfriends, you definitely watching that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Girlfriends Really Love You. Demon Sword Excalibur was, I'm not even gonna suggest that one. I think you're watching everything that I'd be like, holy crap, you have to watch. You watching Potions still, right?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, I think you're watching everything in the next one that should be watched. Returner's Magic was okay. I wouldn't tell you to go out of your way.
Returner's Magic and the Kingdom of Ruin. I clicked on them and I was like, I don't feel like watching an entire show right now. So
yeah, Kingdoms of Ruin is like people like dying in horrific ways. So you probably don't want to, unless you're okay with that stuff now.
No.
I can give you some more insights in a minute after we get off the podcast, but
all right.
Yeah, Rainy Protocol, I'm not feeling that so far. It just feels like a very dumb love triangle. So I think you're pretty much gotten everything that's important. Tierman was like really good.
I love Tierman.
But yeah, that's
my Desuwa that I keep telling everybody. There's a Desuwa.
That's all we're doing for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this set of first impressions for the fall 2023 anime season. As per usual, at talkingspirit.com is where you can go for all of our links, social media links, way to get a hold of us, and ways to support us, like Patreon, tips, links, and all that kind of good stuff. And we thank you guys so much for your support, and we hope that you guys enjoyed. And as usual, you take care.
Os. Os. Mouse. 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 Squirrel. It's a squirrel. You're not getting up. Get the squirrel. Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse?
Why are you looking at me?
The squirrel. Where's the squirrel? Us. Us.
Why are you making so much noise?
Us.
It's the mouse. Baby girl, where's the mouse?
It's the mouse.
Mouse?
The squirrel.
Mouse?
The squirrel.
Mouse?
What squirrel?
Mouse?
Get the squirrel. Us.
You're such a dork. You're such a dork.
Greatest blooper ever.